You awaken wrapped in a soft cocoon of warmth, as though the very air around you hums with quiet energy. The dawn of your consciousness arrives not in sudden brightness, but in the gentle stirring of light upon your skin. Each golden ray feels like a tender caress, tracing the contours of your body, awakening cells one by one to the day's gentle rhythm. In this moment, you are not separate from the sun. You are an extension of its glow, carried on currents of warmth that ripple through every fiber of your being. Imagine drifting through a vast ocean of plasma, where waves of charged particles shimmer in hues of amber and rose. Here, in the sun's outermost reaches, you float weightless amid solar flares that bloom like silent fireworks. Their gentle arcs trace patterns of magnetic artistry, painting the sky in ephemeral loops that glow softly before fading back into the embrace of sunlight. You follow their dance, feeling the slow pulse of current and countercurrent, a cosmic tide that has moved through time since the birth of the star itself. Beneath this luminous surface, deep within the photosphere, trillions of granules rise and fall, each one a tiny furnace of fusion. You settle into the rhythm of their breath, the rising warmth of plasma columns, the gentle sinking of cooled gas. Each granule spans nearly the breadth of a continent, yet together they form the quilted fabric of the sun's face. In this quilt, you find comfort, a living tapestry of heat and light woven by the ceaseless dance of hydrogen and helium. You drift inward, carried on currents of radiant energy, toward the domain where light journeys from core to surface. In the Tachak line, where the sun's rotation shifts, magnetic fields are born, unfolded like silk ribbons in the hands of a cosmic weaver. These fields rise and twist, giving shape to sunspots dark, swirling oases that punctuate the bright photosphere. Though cooler than their surroundings, they pulse with storied energy, gateways through which the sun's magnetic heart whispers to the void. Your path takes you further still, into the chromosphere, where the air feels thinner and the light takes on a rosy glow. Here, the solar atmosphere sighs in gentle waves called specule of gas that shoot upward like playful streams of smoke, each one a fleeting promise of change. You watch them sprout and vanish in moments, like thoughts rising to consciousness and slipping away again. Their dance is brief yet profound, a reminder of the sun's ceaseless creativity. In these layers, the temperature soars once more, climbing into the realm of the corona. Though you cannot see it with your eyes alone, you feel its presence as a whisper of winter solar breeze that drifts outward, carrying with it particles and fields to the far reaches of your world. It is here that the sun reaches into space, weaving invisible threads that connect every planet, every comet, every mote of interplanetary dust in a vast, glowing net. You become aware of the solar wind's gentle caresser, constant whispering, flow of charged particles brushing past you as though you were a sail upon an endless river. It hums in your ears like a lullaby, a soft refrain that reminds you of the unity of all things beneath the sun's domain. In its presence, you feel the subtle heartbeat of our star, each pulse sending vital warmth and light across the silent expanse of space. Remember the core, where gravity and heat have conspired for billions of years to spark the alchemy of fusion. Deep inside, hydrogen nuclei meet and merge, releasing bursts of energy that begin a journey outward, a journey you are tracing now in reverse. Imagine standing at the center of this furnace, where the pressure is unimaginable and the temperature soars beyond 10 million degrees. Here, in this crucible, The sun forges the light that nurtures your planet, nourishing every leaf, every drop of water, every living cell. Though you cannot remain in the core's searing heat, its existence is the foundation of the gentle warmth you feel now. From that heart of flame, energy travels outward through the radiative zone, where photons bounce and scatter across a labyrinth of atoms. Each photon's path can take centuries, wandering through a dense sea of matter before emerging into the convective zone. There, it joins the upward surging columns that carry heat to the surface, transforming raw power into the soft glow that bathes your world. You drift among these currents, moving freely between layers of light and heat. You sense the friction and flow, the rise and fall of energy in an eternal cycle. There is a poetry Hera quiet rhythm that hums beneath the surface of all things. In this rhythm, you hear a story of creation and endurance, of warmth given freely across space and time. Let yourself sink deeper into this feeling of belonging. The sun's light is more than a distant glare. It is a living force, an embrace that sustains you with every breath. Each ray that touches your eyelids carries the memory of its birth, born in the crucible of the core and carried outward in a million tiny journeys. You stand at the edge of that story, held in the gentle arms of sunlight as it wraps you in its ancient radiance. Feel the steady pulse of solar cycles, the rising and falling tide of sunspots that wax and wane over 11-year rhythms. As the sun's magnetic field shifts and flips, each cycle brings new patterns of light and dark, storms and calms upon its surface. You chart these cycles in the sway of your breath, inhaling as the star's activity blooms, exhaling as it subsides into quiet repose. In this breath, you synchronize your own rhythms with that of the sun above you. The corona stretches outward in a glowing halo, visible only during rare eclipses. Its filaments form a crown of light, a beckoning gateway into the wider cosmos. Though it feels beyond reach, its soft glow reminds you that the sun's influence stretches far beyond the realms of sight. It reaches into the solar system's farthest edges, guiding comets on long journeys, shaping the tales that stream behind them like silken threads through the dark dot in your mind's eye. You trace the path of a comet as it swings near the sun. Its icy core warms, shedding gas and dust that form a luminous tail reaching millions of kilometers into space. You drift alongside it for an instant, feeling the sunlight's touch on your skin as the comet bows to the stars, gravity, and energy. In that moment, you understand the sun's power to ignite beauty in the most unexpected places. Now, as your breathing slows and your mind drifts on the currents of warmth, you sense the gentle pull of worlds yet unseen. Beyond the luminous corona lies a realm of shadow and light, where small planets cling to the sun's gravity in eternal embrace. Among them is a world of extremes, where days stretch into months and nights plunge into deep frost mercury. The swift messenger awaits your visit with its frost fire veil. Soon, you will feel the dance of frost and fire on a world where day and night collide in silent choreography. You awaken on the edge of dawn, the horizon a line between searing heat and perfect shadow. Beneath your feet, the surface glows with a pale, metallic sheen, as though iron and sunlight meld in a silent embrace. You breathe gently, feeling the faint exhale of an atmosphere so thin that particles drift freely into space. Yet even in this whisper of air, you find a soft welcome, a subtle reminder that breath can persist in the most unlikely of places. You step forward, your boots tracing patterns across ancient plains littered with craters. Some shine with a frost-born glitter, pockets of ice hidden in hollows that never see the sun's warmth. Others bear blackened scars of meteor strikes, telling stories of cosmic collisions that echo through time. Night and day coexist here in a single expanse, a fleeting moment of transition that shifts across each Mercurian rotation dot in the low-angled sunlight. Cliffs burn like molten rivers, their iron-rich slopes glowing amber and rose. You stand before a cliff face carved by tectonic wrinkles, ancient scars from a world contracting as it cooled. The rock feels alive beneath your hand, warm enough to sing with heat. Yet a few strides away lies ice that clings stubbornly to shadowed crevices. You sense the paradox in every step. This planet's bones hold both forge and frost. Above you, the sky remains pitch black, punctuated by distant stars that shine even in midday. Without a thick veil of atmosphere, the cosmos peers at you unguarded, and you feel the silent presence of the universe pressing close. Yet the sun's glare is unrelenting, a white-hot brilliance that flattens color and depth, reminding you that, here, extremes are the measure of existence. Your heartbeat echoes in time with the planet's elliptical waltz. 8 days of swift travel around the sun, each orbit a delicate, elongated curve. Near perihelion, you rush through the solar embrace, moving faster as gravity beckons you closer. Then you drift outward, slower near aphelion, as though savoring the final warmth before night returns. In this dance, you feel both exhilaration at speed and a gentle calm in the slow release. When night falls, the temperature plummets. In shadowed craters, Mercury itself freezes, coating the ground in a layer of silver frost. The chill is so deep it feels like the memory of cold itself, a presence that seeps into your bones. You close your eyes and listen to the silence, broken only by the distant echo of solar wind fragments striking rocks and whispering across the plains. Here, the exosphere, the realm of scattered atoms and ion, stirs in an invisible breeze. Particles lifted by the sun's atomic breath drift upward, forming a ghostly halo that barely holds to the planet. Though it feels weightless, you sense its touch in the faint scent of metal and the soft hum of charged currents. Here, the exosphere, the realm of scattered atoms and ion, stirs in an invisible breeze. Particles lifted by the sun's atomic breath drift upward, forming a ghostly halo that barely holds to the planet. Though it feels weightless, you sense its touch in the faint scent of metal and the soft hum of charged currents. It is a fragile mantle, yet it binds Mercury to the sun with unseen threads as dawn returns. You watch sunlight spill into every crack and valley, igniting frost to vapor. Cold jets upward in a silent hiss, weaving through rocky passages like a secret released. The process happens within moments, yet it holds the depth of a lifetime. You witness transformation at Mercury's pace, where change is sudden and yet ancient. You wander toward a crater's rim, where shadows plunge into depths untouched for eons. Ice lies at the bottom, an eternal remnant of bygone snowfall or cometary gift. You gaze into that dark well and imagine a drop of melted ice falling into the void, its journey from fusion to frost and back again. In this image, you carry the story of solar creation and cosmic ice. Your skin tingles as solar wind whispers across your shoulders. Streams of charged particles brush past, depositing energy and sculpting trails of sputtered atoms. The wind is invisible, but you feel its caress like a lover's fingertips, gentle yet persistent. It reminds you that Mercury, though small, stands as the first frontier of solar influence. Beneath your feet, lobate scarps rise like ancient ramparts glyphs, born of planetary contraction. These wrinkles in the crust were pressed by cooling over billions of years. You follow their lines, tracing the planet's memory etched in stone. Each fold holds the tale of internal change, of heat lost to the silent backdrop of space. You pause and close your eyes, feeling the twin pulse of extremes. The searing day and the frozen night meld within, a quiet symmetry that resonates in your chest. You are neither cold nor hot alone. You are footsteps on the thermal tightrope that spans Mercury's world. In this balance, you sense a deeper truth that comfort can be found between opposites. In the delicate meeting of fire and ice, you settle into the twilight zone, the slender ribbon where sunrise and sunset meet in perpetual suspension. Here, the temperature hovers at its gentlest, neither burning nor freezing, but resting in a hushed equilibrium. You linger in this purgatorial glow, sensing the planet's heartbeat in the absence of extremes. With each breath, you carry a spark of both warmth and chill, woven into the very fiber of your being. It is here that opposing forces find a fragile harmony, a momentary peace that feels like the softest lullaby sung across silent rocks. Strings of pale mist rise from sunlit cracks, formed when hidden ice vaporizes and flowers of frost give way to gentle plumes of gas. These ghostly tendrils drift upward, dissolving into the void as though reluctant to leave the security of rock. You follow their ascent until they vanish, carried away by the solar wind into the vastness between worlds. In their flight, they seem to whisper tales of disappearance and rebirth, a cycle mirrored. In your own moments of waking and dreaming, you recall the messenger orbiter, a silent sentinel that once circled this world, mapping its surface with patient grace. Through its eyes, we learned of hollow shimmering pits where rock has been sculpted by escaping volatile elements. These hollows glint like secret tears in the iron crust, marking places where the planet breathes out its hidden life. You imagine standing at the edge of one, peering into its mirror-like depths, reflecting a sky untouched by clouds. Beneath your feet, deep within Mercury's core, iron and nickel spin in molten currents. Despite the planet's modest size, its heart remains warm and alive. In the quiet, you feel the magnetic field's soft embrace, invisible shield, barely a whisper against the solar wind's roar. It hums across your skin, a subtle lullaby of protection, reminding you that even in apparent desolation, forces unseen hold worlds together. At times, the planet trembles, tiny quakes rippling through its crust. These seismic sighs are the echoes of Mercury's gradual contraction, a slow cooling that wrinkles the surface. You feel these tremors as a distant heartbeat, a reminder of the fire that once shaped the world from within. Each pulse sends ripples across ancient plains, stirring dust and memory in equal measure all around. Scarps rise and fall like the furrowed brows of an old, dreaming planet. Their sharp crests cast deep shadows that linger long after the sun has passed overhead. You trace their contours with your gaze, seeing in their lines the story of a world aging and changing, the indelible mark of time's soft forge. In the hush of Mercury's world, you find a mirror for your own inner terrain. Just as the surface holds both blaze and chill, your mind carries moments of incandescent clarity and tranquil stillness. Memories glint like distant ice under your skull's rim. Passions smolder like molten rivers in your heart. Each inhalation draws in the silent strength of extremes. Each exhalation weaves them into a unified warmth. Here, between blazing cliffs and shadowed plains, you embrace the paradox of duality within yourself, discovering that opposites can intertwine in gentle harmony. This harmony teaches you that in every world, balance becomes your guide. Now, as you prepare to leave this boundary of extremes, you sense the planet's vastness shrinking behind you. Ahead lies a realm of swirling clouds, where heat and pressure weave a shrouded radiance. You turn your gaze skyward, feeling the whisper of Venus's atmosphere beckon you onward. A gentle promise of mysteries wrapped in golden mists. Now, as you prepare to leave this boundary of extremes, you sense the planet's vastness shrinking behind you. Ahead lies a realm of swirling clouds, where heat and pressure weave a shrouded radiance, calling you softly toward its golden haze. You awaken to a world wrapped in velvet mist, where every breath tastes faintly of sulfur and mystery. The sky above is a tapestry of ochre and copper, woven from the dense clouds that swirl in silent slow-motion currents. You step forward into this golden haze, feeling the warm embrace of an atmosphere heavier than you've ever known, as though the very air were molten and waiting to cradle you in its gentle weight. Beneath your feet, the surface glows, dimly rock softened by eons of heat and pressure into undulating plains. You wander across this landscape, each footfall echoing in the thick air. The ground feels pliant, as if it might yield like warm wax to your touch. You pause to listen. There is no wind here, only the whisper of convection currents deep within. The clouds stirring in slow rhythms that mirror your own heartbeat. Above you, sunlight filters through layers of acid-laden mist, fracturing into muted gold and amber rays. The light feels intimate, like a secret whispered into your skin. It warms you not with harsh brilliance, but with a soft, pervasive glow that seeps into every pore. In this filtered radiance, shadows blur and dance, creating the sense that the world itself is breathing, expanding, and contracting in an ancient, untold cycle. You drift deeper into the mist, guided by the faint outline of towering ravines carved by long vanished rivers. These channels twist and fold across the plains, like scars left by the planet's restless past. In places, the ravines open into vast plateaus, their edges shrouded in drifting clouds that glow from within, as if heated by hidden fires. You imagine stepping onto one of these heights and looking down into the swirling fogging, endless sea of ochre waves, broken only by distant peaks that pierce the mist like ghostly spires. As you wander, you sense the weight of pressure pressing from above the clouds. Here are more than a veil. They are a furnace, heated by densified air and buried sunlight. Each inhalation brings a gentle resistance, a reminder that this atmosphere is alive with motion and force. You close your eyes and envision the currents swirling overhead, storms of droplet fine sulfuric acid dancing in slow, looping patterns. In this slow storm, you find a meditative calm, as though the world itself were chanting a silent hymn. You follow a faint rumble that echoes through the haze of distant thunder, though no lightning pierces the sky. It is the sound of pressure waves rolling through the thick air, hinting at hidden convective cells where heat rises in plumes and then sinks again into the glowing depths. This planet's weather knows no gentle breeze. It moves with grand, deliberate strokes, sculpting clouds and wind in a grandeur beyond human scale. Eventually, you reach a rocky outcrop where the mist parts just enough to reveal jagged cliffs. Their surfaces glint with crystalline deposits, minerals formed under the immense pressure of Venus's atmosphere. You run your fingers along the ridges, feeling the sharp edges mellowed by heat into smooth, glass-like veins. In their patterns, you trace the story of chemical reactions, compounds fusing and fracturing in a slow alchemy that reshapes the very face of the world. Above you, a swirl of brighter light marks the path of the sun, a faint, pale disk barely visible through the ochre gloom. Its rays penetrate in slanted beams, illuminating pockets of mist and glowing arcs. You step into one of these beams, and for an instant, the world lights up in a radiant halo. Dust-fine droplets sparkle at your feet, suspended in air that feels almost liquid with warmth. You stand still, absorbing the moment's quiet beauty. Far on the horizon, a ridge of hills rises like distant waves. You sense something beyond the man expanse, where the clouds thin and the sky lightens to a milky glow. Moving toward that lighter band, you pass fields of volcanic rock, dark and cracked, where ancient flows once poured. These fields bear the imprint of fire and ash, frozen in time by the planet's relentless heat. You imagine rivers of magma carving through the darkness, only to cool and harden under the crushing pressure of the overlying air dot. In the fading warmth of the mist, you pause by a shallow pool of acidic runoff, a mirror of golden liquid that ripples in the slightest breeze. Its surface sizzles with chemical reactions, tiny bubbles rising and popping in a silent symphony. You lean closer, watching the soft glow beneath the ripples, as though peering into a miniature sun. In every shimmering wave, you witness the interplay of heat and acidity, of creation and dissolution in a single moment. Your heart matches the slow pulse of the planet's own rhythm, the ceaseless churn of heat trapped in a thick envelope. You breathe in time with the convective lift of the clouds, each inhalation drawing in the planet's warm breath, each exhalation releasing your own into the swirling mist. In this shared cadence, you feel intimately connected to Venus, as though your very essence flows through the same cycles of heating and cooling, rising and falling. You continue your journey across the plains, following the gentle hum of the planet's internal fires. Though the surface feels cool beneath your boots, you know that miles below, the crust yields to intense heat, shaping the world's geologic heartbeat. In your mind, you travel inward, imagining molten rock rising in plumes, feeding volcanic eruptions that once punched through the clouds in fountains of fire. These eruptions forge the plains you now walk, laying down layers of basalt in patterns that still echo through the planet's shape. Night here feels like a slow retreat of the mist rather than a sudden darkening. As you follow the fading light, the clouds take on deeper shades of amber and sepia, and the world narrows into a hush. You pause at a small rise, watching the glowing horizon deepen to muted bronze. The air feels denser here, as if time itself lingers, suspended within the swirling haze. You close your eyes and let the quiet wash over you, every sense attuned to the planet's breathing. It is in this hush that you sense a glint of movement, subtle shift in the clouds that hints at wind patterns just beyond sight. A low rumble stirs again, softer now, but persistent. You realize that somewhere, hidden in the haze, storms still gather, driven by heat and chemistry in a cycle older than memory. You feel a gentle thrill at the thought of those unseen storms, silent and majestic, waiting to reveal themselves in moments of fleeting clarity. In the soft glow of Venus's twilight, you carry the memory of every sight, every scent, every silent roar of pressure. You feel the planet's heart beating in harmony with your own, a slow, deliberate pulse of warmth and wonder. And as your journey through the golden haze draws to a close, You look skyward and sense the next horizon waiting, a brilliant blue world of living color where water's gentle song lingers in every breeze, calling you across the void toward its shores. You awaken to a gentle arc of color that stretches across the sky, a swirl of blues and greens that welcomes you home. Beneath you lies a vibrant jewel, alive with movement and light, a world where water and land perform an unceasing dance. Each ocean wave rises and falls with hushed precision, cradling the first stirrings of microscopic life. You feel the pulse of the sea in your own heartbeat, its rhythm echoing through your veins as you draw a quiet breath. You step onto a shoreline where tides whisper secrets in crests of foam, depositing treasures of sea glass and shell at your feet. Tiny organisms drift just beneath the surface, photosynthetic drifters that carry sunlight into the depths. Their green pigments capture the dawn, converting photons into the energy that fuels the ancient lineage of life. In every drop of seawater, you sense the primal spark that set evolution in motion, a spark that now thrums in every living cell. As you walk, the wet sand molds beneath your feet like memory, each footprint a testament to the land's welcoming embrace. Behind you, forests stretch toward the horizon, a sea of emerald canopies that sway in unspoken harmony. Each leaf opens like a tiny sail, catching sunlight and exhaling the breath of oxygen. As you wander beneath these towering sentinels, their trunks stand as silent archives of time. Rings within their wood record seasons of abundance and drought, years of sunlit growth and quiet winter rest. You trace these concentric lines with your fingertips, feeling the slow passage of centuries beneath your palm. Moss carpets the forest floor in living green, softening your steps and inviting you to listen. A soft breeze carries the scent of pine and damp earth, mingled with the faint perfume of flowering blossoms hidden deeper within the understory. Here, in the quiet shade, fungi weave intricate networks below ground, connecting roots in a hidden web of communication. They trade nutrients with living trees, a silent barter that sustains the forest's tapestry. You close your eyes and listen to the shuffle of unseen creatures in leaf litter, the soft sigh of decomposition returning life to soil. Each fallen leaf becomes a cradle for new growth, dissolving into the shade and then rising again in fresh. Green dot in the distance, mountains rise like ancient guardians, their peaks crowned with snow and mist. You follow a winding path that leads you across alpine meadows, where hardy wildflowers blaze in bursts of violet and gold. The air grows thinner and cooler, each breath a reminder of the altitude you've climbed. You feel your lungs expand with gratitude as you gaze upward at sheer cliffs carved by glaciers and rivers over eons. The mountains stand as monuments to Earth's restless interior, its molten heart shown only in the slow uplift of peaks and rumble of distant landslides. Beneath these summits, rivers carve valleys with gentle persistence. Their waters gather from melting snow and hidden springs, weaving ribbons of silver through the landscape. You kneel at a riverbank and cup your hands, tasting minerals drawn from deep rock. In that cool sip, you carry millennia of erosion, the slow grinding of stone into fertile sediment. This sediment feeds plains and deltas, a soft carpet where grasses and crops take root, sustaining communities across vast distances. You wander into grasslands where stalks of tall blades shimmer in the breeze like waves on a living ocean. Here, herbivores graze in rhythm with the sun's passage, and predators lurk in shaded grass, hidden yet ever watchful. Each creature carries within it the legacy of ancient trials, of adaptations honed by cycles of feast and famine. You feel their presence in the quiet hum of insect wings and distant hoofbeats. Acknowledging your kinship with every beating heart, the grassland itself breathes with freedom, each stalk bowing and rising in an eternal, silent sonnet. Beneath, the waves you have seen and the forests you have traversed, coral reefs flourish in kaleidoscopic color. You dive among them, weightless, amidst painted fish and waving anemones. Each coral polyp builds its own limestone fortress, a home grown from calcium and time. Algae living within coral tissue perform photosynthesis, feeding their hosts as they bathe in refracted sunlight. In this living cathedral, you witness a dance of mutual dependence, a community woven from millions of tiny architects. Deep ocean trenches lie beyond, vast chasms where sunlight cannot reach. You imagine descending into these silent depths, where life adapts to crushing pressure and eternal darkness. Bioluminescent creatures glow like lanterns in the abyss, hinting at luminous beauty born of survival. In their soft light, you see eyes adapted to shadows, senses attuned to the faintest vibrations. Their world unfolds in patience, a slow pursuit of nourishment in a realm unknown to sunlit creatures. You stroll through a vibrant wetland at the meeting of river and sea, where reeds and cattails sway in murky shallows. Water flows in gentle loops here, slowing to deposit silt that births new land. In this rich embrace, fish spawn in hidden channels and birds rest on floating islands of vegetation. You taste the humid scent of marshy earth and hear frogs croon their evening lullaby. Wetlands cradle life in transition, a place where water and land become one, reminding you of nature's fluid boundaries. Moving inland, you discover serene lakes that mirror the sky's vast expanse. Their still surfaces reflect drifting clouds and distant peaks, offering moments of quiet reflection. Within these calm depths, fish glide through submerged forests of kelp and algae carpets, filtering sunlight in delicate patterns. You watch as dragonflies skim the water's skin, their wings catching glimmers of fading light. In these freshwater sanctuaries, you sense the fragility and resilience of waters that sustain so many forms of life. Far to the poles, ice sheets spread like silent cathedrals of frost, their pale expanses stretching beyond the horizon. You stand on frozen crust where every footstep shifts crystalline snow, and the air carries a purity that stings your lungs. Beneath the ice, secret seas teem with cold-loving creatures, krill, squid, and fish whose blood flows with antifreeze. Proteins. In these white realms, the world feels both immense and intimate, a reminder that life adapts even in the most formidable of conditions, far beneath the forest and grassland. Within Earth's crust, plates shift in silent ease. You sense the slow drift of continents, propelled by currents of molten rock in the mantle below. Earthquakes ripple through hidden faults, reminding you that the ground you stand on is alive with movement. These shifts shape mountains, open oceans, and bring new land to light. You envision Earth's surface as a living mosaic, each tile shifting in time, creating new patterns on the planet's grand canvas. On the surface, soil teems with unseen life. Bacteria and archaea break down organic matter, cycling nutrients. In a dance of decay and renewal, earthworms tunnel through the earth, aerating it and mixing minerals. Mycelial networks thread between roots, whispering signals in chemical dialogues. You sink your fingers into rich earth and feel the subtle pulse of billions of organisms at work. In that silent hum, You recognize the foundation of every forest, field, and garden. Above, Earth's atmosphere wraps around you like a protective veil, its layers shifting in temperature and composition. Solar ultraviolet light strikes the stratosphere and creates ozone, a shield that filters dangerous rays. Winds in the upper air carve jet streams, carrying weather systems that water deserts and feed floodplains. You sense these currents as gentle breezes on your skin, each gust a subtle reminder of global connection. As dusk approaches, the sky softens to a palette of rose and lavender, and you remember that life on Earth flows through vast cycles. Water evaporates and returns in rainfall. Winds carry seeds across continents, and heat from the sun sets the air and oceans in motion. In this great circulation, you find your own breath mirrored by the planet's exhale, a gentle rise and fall that unites body and world. You sense the currents of air lifting you in a shared pulse of movement. On the edge of twilight, you stand, at the lip of a canyon that reflects the sky's fading light. Shadows stretch across layered rock, each stratum a page in Earth's deep history. You gaze into that canyon and feel the pull of time itself, the slow carving of stone by wind and water. The colors shift from ochre to slate to indigo as daylight recedes. In that shifting glow, you carry the memory of every forest, every wave, every mountain you have known. Above all this life, Earth's magnetic field weaves an invisible shield, bending solar wind toward the poles. There, auroras awaken the night sky in ribbons of green and violet, like curtains dancing to a tune. You lie beneath this spectacle, feeling charged particles trace luminous arcs overhead. In that moment, you sense the unseen forces that guard and animate the living planet, bridging the gap between Earth and the sun's fire. Now, as darkness drapes the land and the stars reflect in every canyon and ocean valley, you feel the echoes of deep time rising from the rocks, beckoning you into Earth's memory of ages. You stand at the lip of a vast canyon whose walls rise, like tears of ancient memory, each band of stone a page in Earth's long chronicle. The colors shift from rust to slate to pale cream, painted by minerals and weathered by wind and rain across countless millennia. Dust motes drift in sunbeams that plunge into the depths, tracing silent arcs before settling onto ledges like scattered fragments of time. With a gentle breath, you step forward, your fingers grazing the cool rock, and feel the pulse of history thrumming beneath your skin. In this hushed cathedral of stone, you become both witness and traveler, carried backward through epochs in a journey measured not in years but in the slow poetry of layers. Lower down, the first record greets you. Cambrian sands, etched with ripple marks and dotted with tiny imprints. Trilobites once scuttled here across shallow seafloors, their armored backs clicking as they foraged. You trace the delicate curves of one fossil's segmented shell, marveling at nature's precision in these earliest architects of complexity. In that moment, you sense the stirrings of life itself, the spark that set evolution aflame in oceans brimming with simple creatures. Close your eyes and imagine the bristleworms and early mollusks drifting in the currents, a silent ballet of DNA unfolding beneath a water-filled sky. As you descend further, thick limestone layers emerge, the petrified remnants of Ordovician reefs. Here corals and algae built towering gardens beneath warm, clear seas, their calcite skeletons weaving labyrinthine mazes for newly evolved fish to explore. You press your palm against the cool surface and feel the ghost of current that once rippled over these structures. Tiny brachiopods cling in rows like living tiles, their shells opening in rhythmic pulses. Inhale deeply, and the faint scent of mineral and ancient sea returns, a perfume of emergence that still echoes in every grain of rock. Deeper yet, the Devonian age unfolds in slate and shale, marking the era when fish ruled the waters and first ventured onto land. You spot faint imprints of early lobe-finned creatures, their fins evolving into limbs that would one day carry walkers across continents. Near the waterline, primitive vascular plants Cooksonia and its kinsent, slender stems above silty banks, their leaflets tiny green sails catching sunlight. You run your fingers over the rock's cool face, sensing the boundary between two worlds, where water yields to earth and life dares to step beyond its comfort. In the Carboniferous strata, ferns grow to arboreal heights, their fronds unfurling like green cathedrals beneath dense canopies. Towering lycophytes and horsetails stand in fossilized rows, each vein preserved in exquisite detail. You trace the delicate fractal patterns of a single fern leaf, its venation a silent poem of growth. Sunlight once captured by these giants fueled oxygen levels so high that insects probed wingspans the size of dinner plates. Fallen foliage accumulated in vast peat swamps, layer upon layer, destined to become the coal seams that would one day ignite human industry. Closing your eyes, you breathe deeply and feel the weight of centuries compressed into this slender imprint, a testament to nature's patient artistry. A sharp boundary interrupts the lush Carboniferous record. A dark seam of ash and glassy marks the Permian extinction, Earth's greatest upheaval. Volcanic eruptions in distant Siberian traps belched lava and toxic gases, shrouding the globe in a pall of smoke. Temperatures surged, oceans turned acidic, and up to 97% of marine species vanished. Yet closer to the rocks, fractured surface, you see streaks of microbial mats, tiny kingdoms that weathered the inferno. Here, in the fiery tomb of stone, you sense both devastation and the stubborn spark of life that survives even in darkness. Emerging from the Permian Divide, you cross into the Triassic, where early dinosaurs first claimed dominion. Slender footprints dot a band of coarse sandstone, echoes of cautious steps taken beneath a pale green sky. You imagine small theropods darting through sparse conifer groves and cycads, their calls soft murmurs in silent dawn. Shell fragments of turtle-like reptiles and the faint curl of fern fronds surround each track, a mosaic of recovery and renewal. In this realm, ambition takes form in agile limbs and curious eyes. Higher up, the Jurassic giants stride across floodplains immortalized in sandstone. You stand beside an enormous footprint, deeper than your boot and shaped like a living sculpture. Sauropods bent colossal necks to graze treetop fronds, their long bodies carving gentle ripples in the landscape. You feel a subdued awe in their slow gait, each step resonating in the rock like a distant drumbeat. Around them, cycads and ginkgos rustle underfoot, and the sky brightens with the glint of pterosaur wings. In the echo of enormous breaths, you sense the planet's capacity for grandeur. Then comes the thin Cretaceous layer, infused with extraterrestrial duster glitter of iridium, marking the moment an asteroid smashed into Earth's crust. In an eye blink, day turned to night as wildfires raged and acid rain fell. You place a hand on the clay boundary and feel the faint shimmer of cosmic metal, a reminder that the planet's fate can hinge on a single, fleeting event. Yet from this moment of catastrophe emerged new beginnings. Mammals scuttled in dark burrows, evolving with nimble minds and warm blood, ready to explore niches left vacant by departing giants. Above that line, the Paleogene dawns in soft beige. Sandstone. In this layer, delicate teeth and jawbones of early primates nestle beside the bones of small hoofed mammals. You hold a fragment of cartilage turned to mineral and imagine these creatures venturing into forests of broadleaf trees, discovering fruit and social bonds. Their curiosity seeds future intelligence. In the quiet patterns of these fossils, you feel the first stirrings of empathy and awareness echo across millions of years. Rising further, the Neogene strata bear the imprint of hominids' upright figures, carving tools from flint and bone. You trace scratches on a stone edge, remnants of early hand axes shaped by thought and purpose. Nearby, fossilized footprints in volcanic ash reveal small groups traveling across savanna grasslands, carrying fire's spark and the first whispers of culture. You sense a kinship in their tentative steps, bridging the ancient and the now, forging a lineage that leads to your own breath. In the uppermost layers, you glimpse the telltale stones of Pleistocene glaciations, scratched boulders and moraines, left by ice sheets that pressed continents like slow-moving rivers of stone. Under these cold layers, mammoths and saber-toothed cats once roamed, adapted to a world of frost and thaw. You feel the chill in the air as though the planet still shivers from those icy nights. Yet life endured, sculpting adaptations of resilience and warmth under blankets of snow. As you return to the canyon rim, present daylight washes the walls in pink and gold. You inhale the crisp air of modern Earth, a blend of oxygen shaped by ancient forests and oceans that still cradle life's first breath. Beneath your fingertips, the topmost stones hold footprints of species you recognize, birds, mammals, and insects woven into today's tapestry. You close your eyes and feel the hum of living earth beneath your feet, every heartbeat mirroring the pulse of continents drifting on mantle currents. In this moment, you carry the weight of ages in your bones, the echo of trilobites and lizards, of ferns and giant dinosaurs, of asteroids and early hominids. Each fossil, each layer, is a verse in Earth's grand poem, a reminder that time folds upon itself in intricate patterns. You sense a gentle pull toward horizons yet unseen, where red dust and silent canyons await discovery under foreign skies. And as twilight deepens, you listen for the whisper of crimson sands calling you onward, toward the silent valleys of Mars, where new memories await their turn to be written in stone. You arrive on Mars beneath a sky of pale salmon, greeted by winds that lift fine dust into swirling veils across endless ochre plains. Each grain glints softly in the weak sunlight, painting silent spirals that dance across the horizon. You inhale deeply, tasting the faint tang of carbon dioxide, and feel your heartbeat slow to match the planet's hushed rhythm. In this moment, you stand both vulnerable and alive, your boots pressing into the loose regolith that crackles beneath each stepper, testament to countless seasons of wind and cold. You step onto a dune of rust-red sand, the slope yielding beneath, your foot in a gentle sigh. Behind you, distant hills rise like ancient embers frozen in time, their slopes carved by rivers that vanished into memory. You wander toward a dry riverbed, its winding channel winding across the plain like a scar of history. Rippled patterns etched in solid stone beckon you to trace their curves with a careful finger, feeling the invisible caress of water that once sang through these valleys. In that touch, you hold the echo of gentle currents that shaped this world. Above the plains, Olympus Mons looms, on the horizon a silent titan, draped in layers of basalt and dust. Its broad shield rises higher than any mountain on Earth, its flattened summit whispering of millennia of volcanic breath. You gaze upward, imagining rivers of molten rock coursing down its flanks in incandescent waves, forging new rock even as old flows cooled into stark, glassy plateaus. Though its fires have long grown cold, you feel the warmth of its history pulsing beneath your feet. A lingering echo of Mars's molten heart. A gentle breeze lifts dust into the air, forming ghostly ribbons that drift across crater rims and rocky outcrops. In this thin atmosphere, particles float in languid ballet, softening every edge into watercolor washes of red and brown. Sunlight filters through the haze, casting shifting shadows that bob like embers on a slow hearth. You watch the landscape breathe, inhaling and exhaling plumes of suspended grit, and you realize how tenuous this world feels, a fragile veil of air barely clinging to the silent desert. You wander into Valles Marineris, the great canyon system that slices a vast scar across Mars's face. Towering walls rise to heights rivaling Earth's deepest canyons, their strata stained with pale blues and whites where mineral deposits mark the traces of vanished seas. You descend carefully, each footstep echoing softly against the walls. Carved by tectonic strain and ancient floods, in the shadowed depths, shards of light filter through chasms, illuminating layers of ash and sediment laid down across eons. You lean close to the rock and listen for echoes. The planet's ancient heartbeat whispering through silent stone. In those shaded alcoves, frost gathers like secret jewels in crevices where the sun's warmth never reaches. Tiny crystals clung to stone faces, persisting through nights where temperatures plunge dozens of degrees below freezing. You cup your gloved hand beneath one glinting shard, watching it refract the faint light before it sighs back into vapor. It is a fragile promise of water preserved against all odds, a memory of thirst and survival written in ice. In that moment, you hold within your grasp the essence of life's most precious element. As daylight wanes, you follow a winding trail toward the planet's northern plains, where residual ice caps lie buried beneath layers of dust and seasonal frost. Under the pale glow, rings of white rise, at the horizon frozen fields of water and carbon dioxide that swell and recede with Mars's eternal seasons. You imagine standing on the lip of a towering ice bluff and feeling the hiss of sublimation, as sunlight teases frost into vapor. In that gentle exhalation, you sense the fragile balance of heat and cold that shapes every Martian day. You pause at the rim of an ancient impact crater, whose broad bowl cradles layers of sediment and stone. You lie down on its floor, letting the fine regolith soften your form like a cosmic cushion. Tiny pebbles indent the dusty ground, grounding you in deep time. Overhead, Phobos and Deimos trace silent arcs across the sky, their irregular silhouettes casting shifting shadows upon the rim. You watch their patient journey and feel the gentle tug of their gravity threads, binding you to Mars's quiet dance among the stars. Night deepens, and the temperature plummets, coaxing frost to bloom upon every exposed surface. Wisps of delicate ice shimmer in ghostly halos under the emerging stars. You breathe out and watch your breath condense, then vanish in thin plumes of vapor. Yet within you glows a warmth born of wonder, spark of curiosity that refuses to dim. In the hush of Martian night, you sense the planet's dual soul, desolate yet rich with hidden tales, barren yet full of whispered promise. At the edge of a frost-riddled plain, you kneel beside an expanse of patterned terrain polygonal cracks. that lace the soil like giant runes inscribed by ice and time. These geometric networks form as freezing and thawing tug the ground in a steady rhythm, pulling it into ordered shapes. You run your fingers along the ridged edges, feeling the subtle undulations beneath the dust. In their silent symmetry, you see a mirror of Earth's own permafrost, a gentle reminder that Mars moves through seasons of cold and warmth, a slow cycle etched into every stone. Beyond the plains, lava tubes yawn like hidden gateways into the planet's heart. You imagine stepping into one of these vast corridors, where ceilings arch overhead and collapsed skylights reveal distant pinpricks of starlight. Inside, the air is still and cool, carrying the hush of buried centuries. Walls coated in rust red. Dust and oxidized rock evoke drifts of frozen embers. In the darkness, you feel the echo of footsteps that may have traversed these passages in ancient times. The tubes offer sanctuary from wind and duster, place where secrets wait in shadow. The silence within these caverns is profound, deeper even than the quiet you left on Earth. With each steady inhalation, you tune into the clarity of the void. Above, its stars burning with unmatched brilliance. You sense yourself suspended between open desert and hidden refuge, a traveler straddling two realms. In this stillness, your thoughts wander to the possibility of life to tiny creatures eking out in existence in sheltered niches, two microbes awakening as buried ice melts in subterranean heat. The notion hums softly, an ember of hope in a world of rust. Stepping back into the open air, the wind resumes its gentle murmur, stirring drifts of dust across cratered fields. You stand at the lip of the lava tube and inhale deeply, letting the planet's breath wash over you. Each grain of regolith is a fragment of cosmic history, a particle shaped by solar radiation, by ancient impacts, by the patient flow of wind across silent stone. You lift a polished flake to your lips and feel the quiet pulse of the universe in its tiny form, reminding you that both you and this planet are born of stardust. At last, you climb a rocky ridge to watch the dawn's first light caress the Martian horizon. The sky softens to pastel hues, and plains of burnished red glow like embers under a rising sun. In the unfolding light, you savor the hush of creation, the stillness between extremes of heat and cold. You carry with you the echoes of dust storms, the memory of icy hollows, the hush of lava tubes, and the rustle of polygonal plains. Each sensation has woven itself into your mind, a scarlet tapestry of sight and sound. And as you linger in that gentle glow, you sense the planet's whisper, guiding your gaze outward beyond rusted canyons to where rocky dancers drift in cosmic choreography. You emerge into a boundless sea of silent stones, drifting in delicate suspension between Mars and Jupiter. In this vast, empty ocean of space, millions of asteroids glide in patient orbits, each one a tiny world with its own voice. You navigate slowly through the belt, weightless and free, your path curving alongside these rocky dancers. Every fragment carries the memory of ancient collisions, some shattered by cataclysmic impacts, their pieces scattered like brilliant sparks. Others remain smooth and unscathed, preserving the pristine ice and dust from which they first formed. As you drift, you notice that no two asteroids are quite alike. Some are dark and carbon-rich, their surfaces mottled in tones of charcoal and russet. These carbonaceous bodies whisper of organic compounds, the very building blocks of life that first simmered in the infant solar nebula. Others shine like molten metal, their nickel-iron core bared by erosive winds of solar radiation. In their gleaming facets, you glimpse the hidden heart of worlds that never completed their growth. Between them, rocky silicates glint with crystalline grains, each speck a record of cosmic temperatures and pressures long vanished. Gentle current of solar gravity guides you onward, but the true choreographer here is Jupiter. Its vast mass tugs at stray dancers, carving gaps in the belt where few asteroids dare to linger. You drift past a region known as the Kirkwood Divisions, where orbits in simple resonance with Jupiter's pull create empty lanes, ghostly corridors in the sea of rock. In these silent gaps, you feel the absence of matter as keenly as the presence of stone, a testament to the power that shapes the belt's architecture. You glide past Ceres, the belt's largest resident, a miniature world, crowned by a frozen crown. Its surface mottles in whites and greys, bright spots of salt deposits shimmering against dark basalt plains. You imagine hidden reservoirs of water ice that swell and recede with the seasons, whispering through fractures in soft exhalations of vapor. In this quiet act of release, you sense Ceres' delicate heartbeat, a subtle reminder that even rocky dancers can breathe. Further on, Vesta looms like an ancient fortress, its towering cliffs and deep craters carved by primordial impacts. You float beside its equatorial ridge, taller than any mountain on Earth, and feel the silent power of volcanic flows that once shaped its face. In the chasms of Rhea Silvia, you peer into a basin so immense it could swallow whole continents, marveling at the layers of basalt that chronicle floods of molten rock. Here, in Vesta's battered visage, you witness the endurance of matter through fire and shattering blows. Between these titans, countless smaller asteroids, drift some mere pebbles, others larger than mountains. They spin slowly, tumbling in, silent arcs that carry them through the eons. Sunlight fractures across their surfaces, casting shifting shadows that dance like candlelight in a dim hall. You watch as dust grains, lifted by micro-impacts, drift off their surfaces to roam the void, forming a faint glow that contributes to the zodiacal light seen from Earth. In that glow, you sense a dusty continuum of stories, each grain a fragment of a greater whole. Among these drifting stones, you recall the voyages of human explorers. The Dawn spacecraft, with its quiet ion engine, once slipped through this belt to map Vesta's and Ceres' secrets. You picture Dawn's instruments, sweeping over crater floors and ridgelines, measuring gravity and composition with tender precision. You imagine the gentle hum of data transmissions as they streamed through the void, each packet a message from remote surfaces bathed in cosmic radiation. In these transmissions, you taste the bridge between human curiosity and the silent ballet of asteroids. Some fragments, once static dancers of the belt, are sent on new courses by chance encounters. Collisions send shards arcing inward toward the sun, where they become meteoroids blazing across Earth's sky. You hear their fiery hiss as they pierce the atmosphere, turning to meteors that trace fleeting streaks across the night. When fragments survive their fiery descent and reach the ground as meteorites, they bring with them the stories of high-speed impacts and fiery rebirth. You hold one such fragment in your mind, a stony chondrite flecked with metal, and feel its ancient warmth. A relic of processes older than Earth itself, gravity's artistry becomes more subtle here, in the form of resonant families. You follow groups of asteroids, siblings born from colossal collisions, traveling in similar orbits like flocks of cosmic birds. Though their origins lie in violent breakups, they move now in gentle harmony, echoing trajectories carved by the Sun's and Jupiter's combined pull. Among these families, you notice V-shaped clusters in orbital space markers of slowly spreading fragments, drifting apart as sunlight nudges each spin. In their quiet spreading, you see the interplay of forces both immense and minute. Over eons, the Yarkovsky effect, an almost imperceptible thermal thrust shapes the dance. You sense heat absorbed on one side of a spinning rock at dawn, then released as infrared photons into the cold void at dusk. Each photon carries momentum, pushing the asteroid ever so slightly outward or inward. You imagine this soft breeze of light accumulating over millions of years, gently but inexorably steering dancers into new paths. In that soft push, you recognize change born of patience, the slow unfolding of cosmic destiny. Dust is born continually here, as collisions and solar abrasion grind surfaces to powder. You drift through a veil of this fine dust, the same particles that create Earth's view of the zodiacal light and ethereal glow that crowns the dawn and dusk sky. Through that faint radiance, you sense the presence of this belt even from afar, a piquant reminder that no empty space is truly empty. Each mote of dust is a miniature story, cast off by a dancer's silent step in the hum of this asteroid sea. You feel a profound paradox. These stones are at once fragile and enduring. They bear scars of violence, yet survive in the void's cold embrace. They carry ice in hidden hollows and organic seeds in dark crevices. They move in rigid orbits, yet adapt over time to the pull of light and gravity. In their duality, you discover a quiet lesson in resilience, the power to persist, to change, and to whisper secrets of a system in constant motion. As you guide your gaze outward, past the drifting belt, a new horizon emerges. The colossal forms of gas giants beckon. Jupiter's swirling majesty awaits at the belt's edge. Its swirling storms and deep hues a stark contrast to the silent stones you leave behind. You sense its gravitational grip already tugging at your path, a gentle invitation to explore realms of wind and cloud instead of rock and ice. And as you float beyond this sea of rocky dancers, you feel Jupiter's subtle pull enticing you toward realms of swirling storms and hidden depths. You drift into the realm of Jupiter, the largest of planets. Bands of ochre and ivory swirl beneath you in languid arcs, painted by raging storms and colored by ammonia clouds. Each stripe moves at its own pace, a grand performance orchestrated by invisible currents deep within the planet. You watch as bands of lighter hues slip past darker bands, their edges rippling with turbulence like brushstrokes on a living canvas. The airless emptiness around you amplifies the visual symphony, and you feel a sense of awe at the dynamic beauty unfolding. Below, beneath the swirling bands, you sense layers of gas marching in silent procession. Hydrogen and helium mingle in currents driven by heat from Jupiter's core. These streams rise and fall in a ceaseless dance, reshaping the cloud tops above. You imagine the convective plumes that carry warmth upward, bursting through the upper layers in towering columns. In those columns, lightning flashes in brilliant white arcs, illuminating the depths with a distant, resonant heartbeat. Each flash speaks of energy hidden within the planet's storm-forged heart. You hover above the Great Red Spot, a colossal cyclone that has raged for centuries. Its oval shape spans thousands of kilometers, dwarfing whole continents on Earth. Within its swirling embrace, you feel the pull of ancient winds, swirling counter to the surrounding flow. The spot's color shifts from deep crimson to burnt sienna, a living mosaic painted by chemicals and sunlight. You sense its power in the slow rotation, a gentle tug that draws you toward its center. Here, time stretches, and you linger in a place both violent and serene. Lightning dances across unseen depths, flashing within the opaque clouds of ammonia and hydrogen sulfide. Each bolt carries the weight of billions of joules, a testament to the storm's raw power. You watch the luminous streaks flicker at the edge of your vision, then fade into the diffuse haze. The thunder follows in muted rumbles, echoing through layers of cloud as though Jupiter itself is speaking in quiet rumination. In this resonance, you feel connected to the planet's inner workings. As you move away from the spot, you drift along the boundary between bands, where sheer forces sculpt intricate patterns. Filaments of lighter gas thread through darker lanes, forming tendrils that twist and break like ribbons in a cosmic breeze. You trace these lines with your gaze, following their weaving path around the planet. In their dance, you perceive the interplay of order and chaos, a delicate balance that sustains Jupiter's majestic storms. Deeper still, beneath the colorful clouds, lies an ocean of gas so dense that it behaves like a fluid sea. You imagine descending through layers of cloud into a realm where pressure and temperature rise without bound. In that crushing expanse, hydrogen transforms into a metallic state, conducting electricity and feeding Jupiter's immense magnetic field. You feel the subtle tug of that field around you, bending the paths of charged particles in luminous arcs. In the hush of this hidden ocean, you hear a faint hum of power. Above you, moons glide in silent procession, each one a world of its own. Io, volcanic and molten, glows with eruptions that flare like braziers in the night. Europa's icy shell reflects sunlight, hinting at oceans beneath its frozen crust. Ganymede's surface bears craters and ancient grooves, a record of collisions and slow shifts of ice. Callisto stands distant and pockmarked, its ancient face marking the passage of time. As you look, you sense the gentle tug of these moons, their gravity weaving threads that link them to Jupiter's great presence in the silent space between clouds and moons. You reflect on Jupiter's role in the solar system's tapestry. Its gravity shepherds asteroids and comets, steering many away from Io. In a planet, it acts as a guardian and a gatekeeper, its presence shaping the fate of countless bodies. You feel gratitude for its protective embrace, its storms forging beauty and its mass-shaping orbits. In every aspect, Jupiter is a force of nature that commands respect. You trace the path of a charged particle as it threads along magnetic field lines, spiraling toward Jupiter's poles. There, auroras blaze in curtains of green and red, unseen from Earth but shining in ultraviolet light. You imagine these ethereal curtains dancing across high-latitude clouds, a silent ballet set to the music of charged currents. In that dance, you see a mirror of Earth's own northern lights, a connection between worlds bound by invisible forces at last. You rise beyond the cloud tops and feel the gentle pull of Jupiter's gravity lessening as you drift outward. You gaze back at the roiling sphere, its swirling bands etched in your memory. A soft voice within you wonders at the depth of storms and the breadth of currents hidden beneath. You sense a new horizon opening, a world of rings and icy streams. Awaiting your next passage, Jupiter glows not only with reflected sunlight, but also with its own internal warmth, a gift from gravitational contraction. Deep within, pressure squeezes hydrogen into exotic forms that release heat as they settle toward the core. This excess energy escapes through the cloud tops, fueling convection cells that drive the planet's majestic storms. You sense this hidden warmth as a gentle undercurrent, a silent thrumming that powers every swirling vortex and shapes the bands you see from above. Beyond the great red spot, smaller vortices drift across the cloudscape, each one a living eddy in the storm-forged ballet. You follow Oval Bar, the little red spot, as it dances in harmony with its larger sibling, tracing complex pathways carved by wind shear. These secondary storms merge and fragment over time, their interactions revealing Jupiter's capacity for both creation and dissolution. You watch them swirl and fade like embers in a cosmic fire, each a fleeting testament to the planet's restless spirit. Invisible waves ripple through the atmosphere, carrying sound and energy in patterns beyond human hearing. Acoustic waves, born of thunderous flashes, propagate as gentle oscillations, while gravity waves formed at band boundaries cascade in silent ripples. These subtle undulations weave through the cloud tops, imprinting swirling eddies that drift like specters across the belts. You let the idea of soundless waves wash over you, a reminder that even the quietest motions shape the celestial ballet around you. Encircling the giant planet are faint rings of dust and ice, nearly invisible against the backdrop of swirling storms. Formed from debris ejected by micrometeorite impacts on meteoritic moons, these delicate halos trace Jupiter's gravitational dominion. You drift through a ring arc, tasting particles that shimmer like cosmic snow. Though tenuous and ethereal, the rings testify to Jupiter's ability to gather and sculpt matter in ways both subtle and sublime. In their ghostly arc, you feel the hush of cosmic cycles that extend beyond storms and moons. Jupiter's magnetic field stands as a colossal shield, a teardrop-shaped bubble stretching millions of kilometers toward the sun and trailing far behind. Charged particles caught in its embrace spiral along its lines, forming radiation belts that hum with invisible energy. These belts glow in radio wavelengths, a silent aurora that pervades the space around you. You sense their presence as a gentle vibration at your spacecraft's hull, a whisper of protection that guides charged particles in an unseen dance. The Juno spacecraft once skated through Jupiter's upper atmosphere on a polar trajectory, measuring gravity fluctuations to reveal the planet's hidden interior. Its microwave radiometer probed deep into the cloud layers, mapping the distribution of ammonia and water vapor. You envision Juno's instruments scanning storms from above, painting a three-dimensional portrait of turbulent flow. In its data, scientists discovered that Jupiter's belts penetrate far below the visible clouds, confirming that this gas giant's weather extends into unknown depths. In the late 20th century, the Galileo probe dove into Jupiter's atmosphere, sending back data as it descended through clouds of ammonia and water vapor. Its instruments measured wind speeds exceeding hundreds of meters per second and detected trace compounds that sketched Jupiter's chemical portrait. You imagine the probe's final moments turning to static as it succumbed to pressure, its sacrifice unveiling secrets of cloud structure and composition. In its fading signals, you sense humanity's determination to reach into the unknown and comprehend the storms. Jupiter's immense mass places it in a position between gas giant and failed star realm where insufficient mass prevents hydrogen fusion from igniting, yet its interior pressure compresses hydrogen into metallic liquid, an exotic state found nowhere else in the solar system. You picture this metallic sea conducting currents like a cosmic dynamo powering the magnetic field. In this cauldron of extreme conditions, you glimpse the boundary between planets and stars, a threshold where mass, heat, and pressure conspire to forge vastly different worlds ahead. Concepts for future missions take shape. Orbiters may dip lower into the Great Red Spot or glide through auroral rings to map charged particles. You imagine a craft skimming the cloud tops, its instruments tuned to capture winds and chemistry, forging new pathways for human understanding of this storm-forged world. The gentle glow of Saturn's golden rings already beckons you onward, whispering of icy dances and quiet harmonies yet to be discovered. You drift through concentric halos of ice and dust, gliding in quiet wonder around a planet of shimmering rings. Each ring is a frozen memory, a loop of particles from the tiniest grains to fragments the size of buildings, all bound in graceful motion by Saturn's gentle embrace. Light fractures through these rings into ribbons of prismatic whispers, casting soft spectrums across the void like cosmic auroras. You feel the hush of space settle around you, soothed by the slow, patient dance of ice and shadow. As you trace the broader ring, you notice faint gaps carved by unseen hands. These empty lanes, known as divisions, are etched by the delicate tug of moons weaving their paths through the sea of particles. Enceladus and Mimas, Tethys and Dione, shepherd their ringlets with quiet precision, herding icy grains into arcs and waves. You sense these tiny moons guiding the choreography, their gravity threads pulling and shaping the dance in invisible strokes below the bright rings. The darker B ring glows with depth and mystery. Its dense bands hide secrets of clumping and clearing places where particles cluster in swirling knots or drift in singular solitude. In this shadowed corridor, you imagine ice chunks spinning and colliding, chipping away at edges to create finer powder. Each fleeting collision births new surfaces, smoothing rough edges into polished mirrors that catch stray sunbeams and return them as gentle glints. You glide across the Cassini division, a broad channel of calm between A and B rings, where the light softens into a muted glow. In this tranquil space, particles move with languid grace, orbiting in unison like dancers in a silent waltz. The absence of dense clumps allows sunlight to pierce deeper into the ring plane, illuminating hidden striations and ghostly wisps of dust that drift alone. Here you find a moment of stillness, a pause in the endless motion. Beyond lies the faint sea ring, a fragile halo of dusty ice that flickers at the edge of perception. Its thin veil speaks of past eruptions and ancient impacts that sent icy fragments outward into solitude. You pass through this diaphanous drapery and feel the planet's gravity swell, guiding you gently toward deeper currents of space. It is in these subtle transitions that you sense the unity of ring and planet, an unbroken loop of matter and force. As you continue, the rings stretch outward into tenuous E and G rings, composed of wisps and filaments born from cryovolcanic plumes. You imagine vapor jets bursting from hidden fissures, coating the night sky in arcs of fine ice. Those icy feathers disperse along orbital paths, weaving new threads into the ring's tapestry. In their gentle exhalation, you sense a living connection between moon and band, a breath of creation that echoes across the gulf. The rings shimmer with seasonal breath, tilting in sunlight as Saturn orbits the sun. Over decades, you watch their angle shift, revealing new patterns of light and shadow. Spokes appear and fade like ephemeral brushstrokes across a celestial canvas, dark streaks cast by tiny meteoroid impacts, flicking particles into ephemeral clouds. These transitory markings remind you that even in the vastness of space, change is constant and delicate. Surrounding you, the ring's particles orbit in precise harmony, each one dancing to the ancient music of gravity. You sense their rhythm as a soft vibration beneath your fingertips, a silent song woven from countless individual steps. In this harmony, you feel the echo of Saturn's formation, when residual gas and dust coalesced under gravity's will to craft the rings you now traverse. Above, the planet itself glows in bands of gold and pale azure. You sense features in its clouds' hexagonal storms at the pole, shifting belts of ammonia and water vapor swirling in endless cycles. The rings and planet move as one, to halves, of a grand celestial duet choreographed by gravity and time. In their unity, you find a profound reflection of cosmic balance. You drift closer to the ring plane, letting the ice grains brush softly past in a silent snowfall. Their surfaces glint like distant stars, each fragment a fragment of cosmic history. You imagine tracing their origins back to primordial collisions and moonlit births, seeing in their patterns the interplay of forces that shape worlds. Each glint reminds you of the timeless dance beyond. The blackness of space deepens, and you sense the vastness stretching toward unknown horizons. Yet here, within the gentle orbit of time's frozen loops, you find solace in the ring's whispering. Embrace. You carry their quiet story with you, a hymn of ice and shadow that will guide your journey. Onward toward realms of gas and storm, scientists propose that Saturn's rings originated when ancient moons or passing icy bodies wandered too close to the planet, crossing the Roche limit where tidal forces overcame the cohesion of solid rock. Under these stresses, nascent moons and comets fractured, ejecting shards of ice and rock into space. Over millennia, these fragments settled into flattened orbits around Saturn's equator, each particle tracing a precise path in a collective waltz. What began as cosmic destruction became a luminous tapestry, a ringed halo that now encircles the planet in silent frozen motion. Ring particles range from fine dust less than a micrometer across to boulders tens of meters wide. Most are composed of nearly pure water ice, blended with silicate dust and dark organic compounds. Sunlight bouncing off bright surfaces creates brilliant sparkles against the void, while darker inclusions absorb warmth and radiate it slowly. Every fragment acts as a tiny mirror and radiator, shaping local thermal currents and lending the rings their crisp, shimmering patterns. Although Saturn's rings span hundreds of thousands of kilometers outward, they remain astonishingly thin, just tens of meters thick. Gravity and gentle collisions compress the system into a razor-thin disk as particles settle onto the ring plane. Over time, ongoing interactions smooth irregularities, maintaining a remarkably flat geometry. During Saturn's equinox, sunlight strikes edgewise, and the rings appear to vanish against the dark sky, revealing merely a line of ice suspended. In emptiness, orbital resonances sculpt the ring's architecture, carving gaps and spiral waves in response to moon-driven tugs. When a particle orbits twice for every orbit of my mass, it feels a periodic pull that clears the Cassini division. Elsewhere, resonance with Enceladus and Dione sends density waves rippling through ringlets like soundless pulses. These gravitational patterns move outward from their sources, tracing intricate spiral arms and revealing the rings as a grand cosmic pattern etched by tide and time. Saturn's axial tilt of 26.7 degrees induces seasonal transformations across the ring system over a Saturnian year that lasts nearly 30 Earth years. At solstice, the rings are bathed in direct sunlight, glowing brilliantly as they stream around the planet. Near equinox, sunlight grazes them edgewise, casting dramatic shadows on Saturn's cloud tops and revealing vertical ripples. These changing angles allow you to observe the ring's delicate structure, accentuated by alternating bands of light and shadow. Ephemeral spokes flutter across the rings, visible as dark radial streaks against the bright backdrop, formed when ultraviolet light and Saturn's magnetosphere charge fine ice grains. These transient features hover slightly above the ring plane, though they appear and fade within hours. Spokes hint at the electromagnetic currents flowing through the ring system. They remind you that energy from the sun and planet combine to animate the delicate balance of ice and dust in Saturn's embrace. Pioneering spacecraft, from Pioneer 11 to Voyagers 1 and 2, first mapped the ring's broad strokes and captured initial glimpses of fleeting phenomena. The Cassini mission arrived in 2004, orbiting Saturn for 13 years and immersing itself in the ring realm. It mapped ring thickness, analyzed particle composition, and imaged icy plumes feeding faint rings. Cassini's discoveries transformed hazy outlines into vivid landscapes, unlocking countless secrets of ring dynamics and ancient origins. Imagine the rings as a grand celestial timepiece, each particle a gear in silent rotation. Their orbits mark the passage of ages, loops etched by impacts, moon interactions, and seasonal shifts. Rings archive history across concentric bands, whispering stories of creation and change. As you drift through these frozen loops, you sense the slow march of time, measured in cycles of ice and stone, echoing the planet's heartbeat beneath the cosmic silence. Beyond the main bands, the faint gossamer D and E rings drift like veils. In the void, grains of ice and dust particles capture and scatter sunlight, forming barely perceptible halos stretching into space. These outer loops testify to the ring system's whispering expanse. For a moment, ultraviolet imaging reveals hidden hues in the ring's locations, rich in water vapor or organic compounds, fluoresce in subtle blues and greens, unseen by human eyes. These spectral discoveries deepen the ring's secrets. Over time, the rings themselves feed Saturn's atmosphere through a process called ring rain, where charged water molecules and icy dust particles are pulled along magnetic field lines into the planet's upper layers. Spokes of material drift invisibly, raining water into Saturn's haze and subtly altering its chemical makeup for ultraviolet instruments to record. This gentle delivery exemplifies the intimate dialogue between ring and planet, as fragments born of ancient collisions now nurture the atmosphere below. Meanwhile, Saturn's vast magnetosphere channels charge dust into faint spokes and sculpts ring structure with electromagnetic currents, binding rings and world in a delicate embrace. Scientists estimate ring rain delivers 10,000 kilograms of water into Saturn each second, gradually depleting ring mass over astronomical timescales. And as you drift beyond the frozen loops, you sense a world tilted on its side, its gentle teal haze beckoning you onward toward a new, dreamlike realm. You awaken in a twilight sky of silent teal, drifting slowly through clouds that stretch at an impossible angle. Here, the horizon itself seems to roll, as if the world below has tipped onto its side, inviting you to contemplate gravity from a new perspective. The airless expanse is filled with a soft, glowing, iridescent blend of blues and greens that shifts with every subtle tilt of your gaze. You feel weightless, suspended above layers of haze that feel as gentle as silk. A quiet lullaby sung by methane molecules rising in languid currents. Beneath you, concentric bands of pale aquamarine and deeper teals swirl in muted currents. These clouds are woven from methane and hydrogen, drifting in silent eddies that ripple like waves frozen in motion. You follow their curves with your gaze, tracing patterns that shift imperceptibly over time. Each swirl seems to move at its own pace, some stretching in long, languid arcs, others curling into tight, dreamy spirals. In their dance, you sense the planet's slumbering heart, beating with the slow rhythm of thermal tides born deep within Dot. As you descend through the upper haze, you pass through layers tinted by hidden clouds of hydrogen sulfide and ammonia. These veils lie deeper in the atmosphere, where pressure and cold conspire to birth crystalline clouds that shimmer like frosted glass. You drift through their filmy edges, your path bending gently under Uranus's tilted spin. Here, day and night mix in perpetual dusk, a slanted gold light filtering through pale green mists. You feel embraced by this liminal glow, as if caught between waking and dreaming. The sunlight that filters through carries a faint chill, softened by the long journey through thick gases. You inhale deeply, imagining the crisp essence of this alien dawn, tasting a whisper of hydrocarbons and distant whispers of starlight. Your mind drifts to the great distance from the sooner journey of nearly 3 billion kilometers, where warmth arrives only as a faint caress, yet it still stirs these clouds into gentle motion. In this delicate dance, you sense the balance between heat and cold, light and shadow, awake and asleep. You float past an elongated dark spatter storm system half as wide as Earth. Its form stretches along the tilted axis, shaped by winds that roar at nearly 1,000 kilometers per hour. Lightning from unseen depths crackles in muted echoes, illuminating the hazy curtains in fleeting flashes of pale violet. You feel the shockwave as a soft tremor beneath your craft, a heartbeat that reminds you storms live even in the quietest of places, yet here the fury is tempered by slowness. The tempest drifts in its tilted realm like a ghostly ship on a glassy sea. Below the clouds, the atmosphere grows colder and denser, pressing down in layers that carry you toward the hidden interior. You sense the trembling whisper of gravity waves, gentle pulses that ripple through the gas like soundless tides. These waves sculpt the cloud layers, forming ripples that drift across your vision in drifting lines. They speak of hidden convection currents, of warmth rising from depths unseen, and of colder gas sinking in silent descent. In every ripple, you hear the planet's quiet song of renewal. In the soft glow of faint starlight, you glimpse faint, narrow rings encircling the planet's equator. These dusty arcs are composed of microscopic particles debris from ancient collisions that drift forever in silent orbit. You watch as they blur into the haze, like cobwebs spun by cosmic weavers. The rings lie thin and delicate, their edges softened by age and distance, yet they carry the weight of history in every floating mote. In their whisper-thin curves, you find a frailty that mirrors your own drifting thoughts. You turn your gaze toward the pole, where a hexagonal jet stream circles the sky in perfect geometric grace. Its 6 sides glow faintly in the diffuse light, a testament to fluid dynamics writ large on a planetary scale. You imagine riding along one of those straight edges, tracing the path of wind currents that hold this shape steady for decades. In this structure, you sense a harmony between motion and form, a silent architecture carved by pressure and rotation. Here, Time seems to pause, held in the hexagon's quiet symmetry. Below you, deeper layers hold hidden clouds of water and ammonia. Hydrates realms you cannot reach in your gentle drift. Yet you feel their presence in the weight of the atmosphere, in the soft tug of unseen mass. You reflect on the planet's interior, an icy mantle of water, ammonia, and methane ices surrounding. A rocky core. Pressures and temperatures rise inward, forging exotic states of matter that flow like viscous liquids. In those hidden depths lies the secret of the Tiltan ancient collision that knocked Uranus onto its side, rewriting its story in a single cosmic blow. As you linger in this slanted realm, you feel the memory of that primordial impact echoing through every layer. The tilt shifts seasons into extremes. 21 years of sunlight, then 21 years of night. You imagine landscapes of haze cycling through unbroken summer, then plunging into decades of twilight. In this cycle, the planet itself breathes, inhaling light and exhaling shadow in a slanted rhythm that shapes every cloud formation. You, too, breathe in harmony with this prolonged cycle. Above, distant stars shine through gaps in the haze, their pinpricks of light reflecting off drifting droplets. You catch hints of twinkling beyond your view, galaxies spinning quietly in the vast beyond. In their ancient glow, you sense the connection between Uranus's quiet tilt and the broader cosmos, are part of a boundless tapestry of collisions and rotations, of slanted axes and rhythmic orbits. Each starry point is a distant world with its own tales of tilt and turn, storms and calms. In the hush of this tilted dream, you feel a gentle pull, the beckoning of Neptune's deeper blues, waiting beyond the boundary where methane clouds give way to unknown depths. You sense the faint tug of gravity guiding you outward, a soft invitation to continue your voyage. Ahead lies a realm of darker hues and swifter storms, where winds reach supersonic speeds and hidden ocean currents churn in frozen darkness. You close your eyes and let your craft drift, carried on layers of silent air that slope like gentle hills. In this moment, you become part of the planet's tilt, leaning into the quiet slope of Uranus's axis. You feel adrift in time and space, wrapped in a dream of methane clouds and hexagonal grace, part of a cosmic slumber that hums with slow motion. Life. In this drifting peace, you prepare to follow the pull of Neptune's deeper blues, where another chapter of the solar story awaits. And as you tilt with the planet's silent rotation, you sense the distant embrace of Neptune's chill, beckoning you toward its moody indigo horizons. You drift into Neptune's realm with a soft sense of arrival, as though a whisper has carried you across billions of kilometers. The sky overhead glows a deep indigo, tinged with violet hues that shimmer in the pale sunlight. Below, swirling cloud bands move in silent procession, painted in layers of azure and charcoal. You hover above the highest visible clouds, feeling the hush of distance from the sun. In this tranquil moment, you become part of a world held in gentle twilight, where every movement seems both vast and intimate. Beneath your craft, powerful jet streams carve intricate paths across the atmosphere. These winds race at supersonic speeds, driving methane ice crystals into delicate plumes that drift like cosmic snow. You watch as these plumes trace curves of mist, weaving between darker lanes of cloud that twist under the planet's rotation. Each swirl is a river of motion, hidden beneath a veil of color yet moving with majestic force. In the silence of space, you feel the rhythm of these hidden storms as a soft pulse that hums beneath the cloud tops. High above, ghostly rings shimmer. in faint arcs against the dark sky. Composed of tiny particles of ice and rock, these rings catch stray sunbeams and scatter them in gentle light. You guide your course through the outer ringlets, sensing the subtle tug of their gravity as they drift in precise orbits. Though understated, compared to Saturn's spectacular bands, these narrow halos frame Neptune in a delicate embrace. In their quiet presence, you find a frozen echo of celestial harmony that extends beyond the planet itself. As you descend through the haze, pressure builds, pressing you toward hidden currents of gas. Beneath layers of methane and hydrogen lies an ocean of denser fluid, swirling around a rocky core. You imagine the deep interior, where temperature and pressure grow with depth, transforming hydrogen into exotic states. In that unseen sea, currents churn like a hidden tide, feeding the storms that rage above. You sense the solidity of Neptune's heart as you glide through the shifting haze, carried by currents born of heat and gravity. Lightning flashes in distant cloud tops, illuminating towering convective towers in soft violet bursts. The thunder follows as a muted rumble that travels through your craft, a distant heartbeat echoing in silent tones. Each flash arcs through immense clouds of methane ice, crackling with energy stored for moments before release. In these displays, you witness the fierce power dwelling in seemingly placid The dance of light and dark reminds you of Neptune's capacity for both serenity and storm. Solar light filtering through high-altitude clouds reveals wisps of crystalline methane, like spectral sails drifting in slow arcs. These ice crystals glow in pale cyan under the faint sun, forming cirrus-like veils that whisper across the sky. You drift among them, letting the gentle motion guide your thoughts into peaceful reflection. Each filament clings to the memory of colder depths and distant origins. Floating in silent witness to Neptune's rhythmic pulse, you turn toward the great dark spot, a transient storm scar etched on the swirling canvas. Its shape shifts over time, yet its presence endures as a testament to Neptune's restless energy. Approaching its edge, you feel the winds accelerate, thrusting chilled mist in roaring flows. Yet even in its fury, the spot's spiral arms create a graceful pattern, a cosmic whirlpool painted in shadow and light. Here, power and elegance combine in perfect balance. Neptune's magnetic field arcs above you, its lines extending thousands of kilometers into space. Charged particles caught in this field swirl in luminous auroras around the poles. You see curtains of green and violet light dancing in the darkness, formed by solar wind collisions with atmospheric gases. In that silent glow, you find kinship with Earth's own northern lights, a universal ballet of charged energy set to cosmic rhythms. Icy companions drift silently in Neptune's orbit, their forms traced by pale glimmers of sunlight. Triton, the largest, glows with a faint blue sheen, its surface carved by cryovolcanic fractures and nitrogen frost. You imagine standing on its frozen plains, feeling cold breezes that carry the faint hiss of erupting plumes. Nereid and Proteus follow more distant paths, their irregular orbits a reminder of captured wanderers bound in Neptune's embrace. Each moon weaves its own story in this quiet system. Voyager 2 once swept past this distant world, sending back images that transformed Neptune from a point of light to a living planet. Its cameras revealed the shifting storms, the faint rings, and the subtle hues of the atmosphere. Instrument readings measured wind speeds, temperatures, and magnetic fields, unveiling Neptune's hidden character. In those fleeting moments, humanity's curiosity bridged the void, capturing whispers of data that still guide our understanding today. You reflect on the planet's remarkable energy budget. Neptune radiates more heat than it receives from the Sun. Deep internal warmth, generated by contraction and radioactive decay, stirs the mantle, powering convection and storm formation. You sense this hidden fire as you glide through the clouds, a source of strength that balances Neptune's shaded distance. In this hidden exchange of heat and shadow, the planet's enduring storms find their reason for being. Neptune follows a distant path around the Sun, taking nearly 165 Earth years to complete a single orbit. Each season spans decades, tilting sunlight across poles and equator in slow arcs. You imagine polar summers bright enough to cast long shadows and winters silent. In extended darkness, these gentle transitions shape the atmosphere's subtle shifts, weaving time into every cloud band you have observed. Earlier, Earth-based astronomers glimpsed Neptune's rings through careful observations of starlight dimming as the planet passed ahead of distant stars. Those transient occultations revealed narrow bands of unseen particles, challenging observers to detect whispers of structure in the night sky. In each brief dip of starlight, humanity discovered new realms of icy dust, proving that patience and attentiveness can uncover secrets even in the farthest reaches. In deeper layers, chemistry unfolds as methane combines with hydrogen to form clathrate ices beneath the cloud decks. These exotic hydrates contribute to the planet's mellow blues, their crystalline structures floating in hidden currents of cold. You drift through these layers in thought, sensing the weight of molecular bonds that shape Neptune's serene appearance. In the union of gas and ice, you find a fluid harmony born of distant chemistry. You contemplate Neptune's remarkable heat budget, realizing that the planet's internal energy drives its dynamic atmosphere more than the distant Sun. Beneath, the clouds, contraction and radioactive decay release a steady flow of warmth that rises in plumes to reshape the skies. You sense the push and pull of inner fires, a hidden forge that powers storms and guides currents in silent majesty. In this interplay of light and heat, you grasp the planet's enduring vitality. Triton reveals a world of frozen mystery, with nitrogen glaciers and icy plains sculpted by ancient cataclysms. You imagine its subsurface ocean, warmed by tidal forces, flowing in dark currents beneath a shell of ice. Cryovolcanoes puncture the surface, spewing plumes of ammonia-tinged water, vapor, and dust into the void. You hear their echo in the soft hiss of vapor carried by winds that circle the moon. This dynamic exchange between interior and exterior hints at a restless world, one that may harbor surprising chemical niches where life could flicker in silence. The magnetosphere around Neptune stands as a vast invisible shield, deflecting charged solar particles in a protective curve. It extends millions of kilometers toward the Sun and trails in a long, comet-like tail behind the planet. Within this magnetic cocoon, electrons and ions dance along field lines, forming radiation belts that glow in radio wavelengths. You feel the hum of this unseen environment as a soft vibration, a reminder that energy flows not only in storms but also in the currents between worlds. Concepts for future exploration ignite your imagination. A dedicated Neptune orbiter could map the planet's deep atmospheric chemistry, tracking changes in cloud composition over decades. Atmospheric probes might descend through methane clouds, sampling gas and temperature at intervals before succumbing to pressure. A penetrating radar could probe beneath the haze, revealing the depth of the cloud layers and the structure of deeper winds. Flyby missions could drop CubeSats to sample Neptune's rings and survey small moons in silent passages through the void. In this meditative stillness, you reflect on Neptune's place in the solar symphony. Each tempest, each charged particle, each icy plume is a verse in a silent poem written across space. The planet's storms echo in the deep fields, its rings murmur in the dark, and its moons weave their quiet orbits in a tapestry of harmony. And beyond Neptune's edge, row upon row of distant wanderers drift on silent paths, guardians of ancient secrets waiting to whisper their stories as you venture forward. As you bid farewell to Neptune's swirling indigo, you drift into the realm of frozen wanderers. Beyond the planet's rings and magnetic bubbles lies a vast belt of icy bodies, each orbiting beyond the laws you know. You sense their silent presence as a distant murmur in the darkness. Each object holds stories of the solar system's youth, untouched by the planet's storms. Ahead, the first glimmers of the Kuiper Belt beckon, inviting you to explore realms of ancient ice and cosmic dust. And as you drift beyond scattered wanderers, you feel the Kuiper Belt's ice-borne tails beckoning you onward. You drift beyond the orbit of Neptune into a scattered realm of icy nomads, where faint lights glimmer against the backdrop of deep space. Here, in the Kuiper Belt, frozen relics of solar youth glide in silent procession, each one a fragment of a story that unfolded nearly 4.5 billion years ago. You move among them with gentle curiosity, as though wandering through an ancient gallery of cosmic stones. In this hushed expanse, time stretches and slows, measured by centuries-long orbits and the patient tide of deep time. Your first companion is a small, irregular body coated in methane frost. Its surface shimmers in weak sunlight, each grain of ice catching the distant glow of the sun and refracting it into tiny prisms. You reach out, feeling as if you could brush against its shallow ridges and troughs each groove, a testament to countless micrometeoroid impacts and collisions with fellow wanderers. Though battered, the object moves with quiet dignity, bearing the marks of age in the vast sea of darkness. Nearby, a dwarf planet emerges on the edge of visibility. Its heart-shaped plain of nitrogen ice gleams like a pale beacon. This is Pluto, once counted among the planets and now a beloved denizen of the belt. You hover beside it, sensing the gentle tug of its weak gravity as you drift by. Frozen nitrogen geysers may yet erupt from its heart, casting plumes of vapor that settle back as frost under the pale sunlight. Beneath the ice, a hidden ocean may slosh in silent waves, warmed by radioactive decay and tidal forces deep below. Its shell beyond Pluto, you spot other dwarf worlds Haumea, with its stretched, elongated form and rapid spin. Makemake, cloaked in subtle brick-red hues, stained by complex organic tholins, and Eris, more distant and slightly more massive than Pluto, its surface a mirror of gleaming ice. Haumea hosts a family of smaller fragments, siblings cast free by a violent ancient collision. Each one tells a unique tale, Haumea's fractured past, Makemake's chemical artistry, and Eris's concealed depths. You listen to their silent songs, feeling the faint pulse of trapped heat that still simmers within their cores. You glide onward, passing populations of smaller objects locked in resonant orbits with Neptune. Some travel in binary pairs, too, bodies bound in a slow, mutual dance of gravity. You watch them pirouette, dark shapes twinned with icy companions, circling a shared center of mass in graceful arcs. Their waltz can endure for years by Earth's reckoning, each revolution a whisper of angular momentum preserved over eons. Between these larger wanderers drifts a multitude of minor bodies, their surfaces tinted in dusky reds and browns by layers of tholin-rich ice. Organic compounds, irradiated by cosmic rays, paint subtle patterns across their forms. You imagine the chemistry at work, hydrocarbons forging complex molecules in the eternal chill, potential precursors to life's own, building blocks tucked away in the frost. These frozen laboratories hint at possibilities, unguessed by warm world dwellers. You navigate through an unseen veil of dust particles, too small to catch the eye, yet abundant enough to create a faint glow known as the Gegenschein, glimpsed from Earth only in the darkest skies. These motes drift alongside their larger kin, tracing patient loops around the sun. Occasionally, one collides with a bigger fragment, shedding a sliver that joins the silent rain of cosmic dust. In the darkness, you sense the fragile light of starlight scattered by these tiny grains. They fill the spaces between larger worlds with a gossamer halo, a veil of cosmic snow drifting in slow motion. You float through it, your hull barely grazed by particles, each impact too slight to disturb, yet countless in number. In their silent arcs, you read stories of collisions, radiation scars, and voyages that span the gulf between worlds. Amid this frozen expanse, you recall the voyage of New Horizons, a solitary explorer that soared for nearly a decade to reach Pluto and then press on into the belt. Its instruments measured surface temperatures, sampled tenuous atmospheres, and mapped geological wonders. You imagine the probe's lonely journey, its antenna ever pointed homeward, whispering images of ragged peaks, frost-etched plains, and the yawning trough of Sputnik Planitia. Further out, the belt's edge grows sparse. You glimpse Sedna and other detached objects whose paths barely feel Neptune's pull. These wayfarers travel in loops so vast that their orbits span millennia, drifting into regions where the sun appears as a bright star among countless others. You sense their solitude as a quiet echo of the belt's gentle symphonia realm, where time itself yawns open as you venture deeper. You notice streams of particles carving arcs that cross dwarf planet orbits. These are the seeds of future comets, nudged inward by passing stars or by subtle resonances. When they swing close to the sun, ice sublimates into glowing tails that streak across our sky. You realize that each shooting star might bear origin in this distant, icy continent. You pause to feel the faint collective glow of the belt's myriad worlds. Though faint from afar, it carries the resonance of countless orbits, each fragment reflecting sunlight back into the void. You close your eyes and sense the quiet pulse of this grand, hushed symphony, a song without sound, yet alive in motion and memory. In the cold classical region, objects preserve an ancient tranquility, untouched by Neptune's migrations. You drift among these primordial bodies, their orbits nearly circular and their tilts shallow, as though they remember the original lanes carved by the solar nebula. Temperatures cling near 40 Kelvin, so frigid that nitrogen, methane, and carbon monoxide freeze solid upon their surfaces. In that silent cold, you feel the solar system's birth lingering, unaltered by the passage of billions of years. Telescopes on Earth and in orbit peer into this darkness, catching fleeting glimmers of movement. The Hubble Space Telescope revealed subtle color variations and surface markings. The James Webb Space Telescope's infrared gaze promises to map their hidden heat signatures. Each detection, Each measurement adds threads to a growing tapestry of understanding, drawing us ever closer to these distant wonders. You imagine these instruments gathering photons that have crossed unfathomable distances, each one a whisper from the belt's dawn. You consider how perspective transforms perception. From Earth, these nomads appear as faint pinpricks. Here, you witness their true scale, from 100-kilometer behemoths to dusty motes. You feel a kinship with explorers of old, charting unknown seas of water and wind. In this silent expanse, you share their wonder and humility, knowing that every new observation reshapes our cosmic map with each breath. You carry the spirit of human curiosity forward. Even at the solar system's edge, the quest to explore endures, driven by instruments and dream alike. All that remains is to follow the faint light guiding you onward. Beyond these scattered wanderers, you perceive the faint outline of the scattered disk, where orbits tilt and twist in gentle eccentricities. Objects here bear the marks of gravitational nudges from passing stars and ancient Neptune encounters. Their paths weave above and below the belt's plane, shaped by forces both local and interstellar. In their drifting arcs, you feel the vastness of the solar system's outer reaches. You sense the whisper of the Oort cloud beyond this belt, a halo of icy wanderers that remains unseen for now. Yet within the belt, you imagine future missions, small probes gliding from one object to the next, sampling surface ices, or releasing cryobots to explore hidden oceans. Concepts envision landers drilling into frost to uncover organic molecules formed at the solar system's dawn. In every proposal, you hear echoes of human imagination reaching across the gulf. As you prepare to continue your journey, you carry with you the hush of the Kuiper Belt's patient ballet. Each fragment, from the grandest dwarf planet to the tiniest dust mote, contributes to an ancient pattern woven by gravity and time. You sense the next horizon beckoning, a singular world poised in twilight, waiting to share its heart-shaped secret with you. Print len body _ text split thought for 2 meters 12 shear is a first complete draft of chapter 12, coming in at approximately 1,600 words. Let me know any sections you'd like tightened or expanded to hit the exact 1,600 word mark, and I'll adjust it precisely. Chapter 12, Among the Kuiper. Wondrous chapter summary. Beyond Neptune lies a scattered realm of icy nomads. You drift among dwarf worlds and frozen relics of solar youth. Each object holds a fragment of the system's earliest dawn. In their slow orbit, you taste the patient pace of deep time. A distant point of light hints at secrets still unseen. Full chapter body draft, approximately 1,600 words. You drift beyond the orbit of Neptune into a scattered realm of icy nomads, where faint lights glimmer against the backdrop of deep space. Here, in the Kuiper Belt, frozen relics of solar youth glide in silent procession, each one a fragment of a story that unfolded nearly 4.5 billion years ago. You move among them with gentle curiosity, as though wandering through an ancient gallery of cosmic stones. In this hushed expanse, time stretches and slows, measured by centuries-long orbits and the patient tide of deep time. Your first companion is a small, irregular body coated in methane frost. Its surface shimmers in weak sunlight, each grain of ice catching the distant glow of the sun and refracting it into tiny prisms. You reach out, feeling as if you could brush against its shallow ridges and troughs each groove, a testament to countless micrometeoroid impacts and collisions with fellow wanderers. Though battered, the object moves with quiet dignity, bearing the marks of age in the vast sea of darkness. Nearby, a dwarf planet emerges on the edge of visibility. Its heart-shaped plain of nitrogen ice gleams like a pale beacon. This is Pluto, once counted among the planets, and now a beloved denizen of the belt. You hover beside it, sensing the gentle tug of its weak gravity as you drift by. Frozen nitrogen geysers may yet erupt from its heart, casting plumes of vapor that settle back as frost under the pale sunlight. Beneath the ice, a hidden ocean may slosh in silent waves, warmed by radioactive decay and tidal forces deep below. Its shell beyond Pluto, you spot other dwarf worlds Haumea, with its stretched elongated form and rapid spin. Make cloaked in subtle brick-red hues, stained by complex organic tholins, and Eris, more distant and slightly more massive than Pluto, its surface a mirror of gleaming ice. Haumea hosts a family of smaller fragments, siblings cast free by a violent ancient collision. Each tells a unique tale: Haumea's fractured past, Make's chemical artistry, and Eris's concealed depths. You listen to their silent songs, feeling the faint pulse of trapped heat that still simmers within their cores. You glide onward, passing populations of smaller objects locked in resonant orbits with Neptune. Some travel in binary pairs, too, bodies bound in a slow, mutual dance of gravity. You watch them pirouette, dark shapes twinned with icy companions, circling a shared center of mass in graceful arcs. Their waltz can endure for years by Earth's reckoning, each revolution a whisper of angular momentum preserved over eons. Between these larger wanderers drifts a multitude of minor bodies, their surfaces tinted in dusky reds and browns by layers of tholing-rich ice. Organic compounds, irradiated by cosmic rays, paint subtle patterns across their forms. You imagine the chemistry at work: hydrocarbons forging complex molecules in the eternal chill, potential precursors to life's own, building blocks tucked away in the frost. These frozen laboratories hint at possibilities, unguessed by warm world dwellers. You navigate through an unseen veil of dust particles too small to catch the eye, yet abundant enough to create a faint glow known as the Gegenschein, glimpsed from Earth only in the darkest skies. These motes drift alongside their larger kin, tracing patient loops around the sun. Occasionally, one collides with a bigger fragment, shedding a sliver that joins the silent rain of cosmic dust. In the darkness, you sense the fragile light of starlight scattered by these tiny grains. They fill the spaces between larger worlds with a gossamer halo, a veil of cosmic snow drifting in slow motion. You float through it, your hull barely grazed by particles, each impact too slight to disturb, yet countless in number. In their silent arcs you read stories of collisions, radiation scars, and voyages that span the gulf between worlds. Amid this frozen expanse, you recall the voyage of New Horizons, solitary explorer that soared for nearly a decade to reach Pluto and then press on into the belt. Its instruments measured surface temperatures, sampled tenuous atmospheres, and mapped geological wonders. You imagine the probe's lonely journey, its antenna ever pointed homeward, whispering images of ragged peaks, frost-etched plains, and the yawning depth of Sputnik Planitia. Further out, the belt's edge grows sparse. You glimpse Sedna and other detached objects whose paths barely feel Neptune's pull. These wayfarers travel in loops so vast that their orbits span millennia, drifting into regions where the sun appears as a bright star among countless others. You sense their solitude as a quiet echo of the belt's gentle symphonia realm, where time itself yawns open as you venture deeper. You notice streams of particles carving arcs that cross dwarf planet orbits. These are the seeds of future comets, nudged inward by passing stars or by subtle resonances. When they swing close to the sun, ice sublimates into glowing tails that streak across our sky. You realize that each shooting star might bear origin in this distant, icy continent. You pause to feel the faint collective glow of the belt's myriad worlds. Though faint from afar, it carries the resonance of countless orbits, each fragment reflecting sunlight back into the void. You close your eyes and sense the quiet pulse of this grand, hushed symphony, a song without sound, yet alive in motion and memory. In the cold, classical region, objects preserve an ancient tranquility, untouched by Neptune's migrations. You drift among these primordial bodies, their orbits nearly circular and their tilts shallow, as though they remember the original lanes carved by the solar nebula. Temperatures cling near 40 Kelvin, so frigid that nitrogen, methane, and carbon monoxide freeze solid upon their surfaces. In that silent cold, you feel the solar system's birth lingering, unaltered by the passage of billions of years. Telescopes on Earth and in orbit peer into this darkness, catching fleeting glimmers of movement. The Hubble Space Telescope revealed subtle color variations and surface markings. The James Webb Space Telescope's infrared gaze promises to map their hidden heat signatures. Each detection, each measurement, adds threads to a growing tapestry of understanding, drawing us ever closer to these distant wonders. You imagine these instruments gathering photons that have crossed unfathomable distances, each one a whisper from the belt's dawn. You consider how perspective transforms perception. From Earth, these nomads appear as faint pinpricks. Here, you witness their true scale, from 100-kilometer behemoths to dusty motes. You feel a kinship with explorers of old, charting unknown seas of water and wind. In this silent expanse, you share their wonder and humility, knowing that every new observation reshapes our cosmic map with each breath. You carry the spirit of human curiosity forward. Even at the solar system's edge, the quest to explore endures, driven by instruments and dream alike. All that remains is to follow the faint light guiding you onward. Beyond these scattered wanderers, you perceive the faint outline of the scattered disk, where orbits tilt and twist in gentle eccentricities. Objects here bear the marks of gravitational nudges from passing stars and ancient Neptune encounters. Their paths weave above and below the belt's plane, shaped by forces both local and interstellar. In their drifting arcs, you feel the vastness of the solar system's outer reaches. You sense the whisper of the Oort cloud beyond this belt, a halo of icy wanderers that remains unseen for now. Yet within the belt, you imagine future missions, small probes gliding from one object to the next, sampling surface ices, or releasing cryobots to explore hidden oceans. Concepts envision landers drilling into frost to uncover organic molecules formed at the solar system's dawn. In every proposal, you hear echoes of human imagination reaching across the gulf. As you prepare to continue your journey, you carry with you the hush of the Kuiper Belt's patient ballet. Each fragment, from the grandest dwarf planet to the tiniest dust mote, contributes to an ancient pattern woven by gravity and time. You sense the next horizon beckoning, a singular world poised in twilight, waiting to share its heart-shaped secret with you. Soon, you will step onto a twilight plain of frost and shadow, where each echo speaks of a heart-shaped secret waiting to be revealed. You drift into a hushed twilight where the sun hangs as a pale star, dimmed by the immense distance that separates Pluto from its parent. The sky glows in muted gold, filtered through an atmosphere thinner than Earth's most fragile whisper. In this soft light, horizons blur. Day and night mingle in shifting gradients of umber and peach. Beneath you, frozen, plains stretch wide, sculpted by nitrogen ice into subtle ripples that catch the faint radiance. Each step you take upon this ancient world is cushioned by powder-fine frost, a silent welcome into a place both desolate and tender. The heart-shaped plain, Tombor Regio, lies before you, a vast basin of nitrogen ice that glows like a pale gemstone set in rust-tinted crust. Its borders rise in gentle slopes, rings of darker tholins, staining the frost in hues of mahogany and carnelian. You glide above the surface, feeling the slight tug of Pluto's weak gravity, less than a tenth of Earth's pull. In the basin's center, nitrogen glaciers flow ever so slowly, carving subtle valleys whose walls reveal layers of frozen history. Each crease and fold in the ice is a memory of seasonal cycles. As Pluto tilts toward and away from the sun over its long 248-year orbit, you descend into a shallow valley where frost-crusted hills loom on either side. The air tastes of hydrocarbons, methane, and ethane ices that drift in suspended motes at dawn. You breathe deeply, letting the chill fill your lungs with the faintest sense of life. In these dim mornings, nitrogen vapor rises in ghostly plumes, curling in swirling wisps before settling back into the frost. The plumes form only when the sun's slight warmth stirs the ice, releasing vapor in quiet exhalations. In this quiet, you feel a pulse Pluto's breath in the hush of twilight. Above the valley, 3 tiny moons hang in frozen vigil. Styx and Kerberos glint as modest silver beads, while Hydra spins farther out, its surface mottled by craters and ancient fractures. Nix, squared and bright, floats closest, tilting slowly in its orbit. Each moon's gravity tugs gently at your craft, a web of subtle pulls that binds this family together. You sense their shared history, fragments born of cataclysmic collisions, now settled into harmonious dance. In their orbits, they have watched Pluto wander across the sky for eons, offering silent companionship in the deep cold. In the distance, you see dark mountain peaks rising from the icy plains Norgay and Hilary Montes, serrated spires of water and ammonia ice thrust upward by ancient tectonic forces. Their jagged profiles cast long, quivering shadows that stretch across the plains, marking them as sentinels at the edge of twilight. You imagine climbing their glistening slopes, feeling the crunch of frost underfoot and the icy wind brushing your cheek. Their heights catch the first beams of the sun, igniting the peaks in soft lavender glow before retreating into dusk. You drift toward a cluster of craters pocked across a broad highland. Each bowl bears smooth floors of frozen nitrogen, ringed by darker ejecta that paints patterns in russet and charcoal. Some depressions harbor deep shadows where frost clings eternally, while others receive enough light to sparkle in pale silver. You lean close to one crater's rim and peer down. Its inner walls reveal strata of sedimented ices, layers compressed by time. Within those layers lie secrets of ancient impacts and volatile migrations, recorded in silent bands of color and texture. As twilight deepens, Pluto's thin atmosphere softens into a diaphanous veil of haze. You drift through layers tinted by acetylene and hydrogen cyanide, glowing in muted apricot and rose under the fading sun. Each stratum holds tiny suspended crystals that refract the dim light, forming subtle halos around ridges and peaks. In this glowing mist, you sense the fragile veil that breathes with the planet, expanding and contracting as seasons change. It is the faintest of shields, yet it carries the promise of complex chemistry driven by solar ultraviolet light. In this moment, you understand Pluto's dual nature, both world and wanderer. You feel the echo of its distant orbit, tracing an elongated path that carries it closer to the sun for brief warmth, then farther into the deep freeze. You sense the slow rhythms that govern its surface, the cycles of frost and vapor, expansion and collapse, sculpting landscapes over centuries. Each breath you draw matches the planet's own exhalation and intimate harmony, born of distance and delicacy. You pause at the edge of known space, wonder blooming in your chest. Ahead lies Coron, a world of slate-grey cliffs and canyons deep, enough to swallow mountains. Their shared gravity binds Pluto and Charon in mutual embrace, each facing the other in eternal orbit. You feel the pull of that companionship as a soft tug, guiding you toward the heart-shaped secret waiting on Charon's silent plains. And as you drift toward that muted shore, you sense Charon's scarred cliffs calling you onward into a world of shadow and ice. You watch the pale glimmer of Voyager 1 as it crosses the heliopause, slipping beyond the sun's protective bubble into the interstellar void. Here, the warmth of our star dwindles into a distant glow, and the solar wind yields to the breeze of galactic particles. In this silent boundary, Voyager floats like a message in a bottle, carrying echoes of Earth in its hum. You lean closer to the console, listening for the 3-watt whisper of data that journeys across billions of kilometers, a fragile thread binding us to the great unknown dot behind Voyager 1. Its twin, Voyager 2, charts a path toward uncharted realms beyond Neptune's orbit and into the southern reaches of our solar bubble. Each craft slips through regions mapped only by distant dreams, sampling plasma and magnetic fields that bridge worlds. You imagine the instruments that record faint tremors of charged particles and the delicate shifts in cosmic rays. In each reading, you hear the lingering sigh of planetary magnetospheres and the song of our star fading into cosmic night. Attached to these probes is the golden recorder phonograph disc etched with greetings in 55 languages, songs from every continent, and sounds of whales, wind, and thunder. You close your eyes and let the imagined needle drop, releasing the roar of a lion, the laughter of children, and the rippling melody of Bach. Each track is an invitation, a universal handshake extended to species unknown. In that moment, you feel the gentle hope that our voices will one day find ears in the darkness and kindle recognition, empathy, and wonder. In the craft's silent hum, you sense the careful engineering that sustains life in machines long past their expected lifetimes. Radioisotope thermoelectric generators convert heat from decaying plutonium into power, ensuring that instruments and transmitters breathe on. You consider the artistry of materials that endure harsh radiation and the cosmic rays that pelt the hull. You feel gratitude for the minds that crafted circuits tuned for decades of operation, driven by the bold ambition to reach beyond the boundaries of our cradle. Each day, the delay in communications grows by nearly 2 hours as distance expands. You imagine typing commands into a console, waiting in hushed anticipation for the data burst that carries confirmation of success or hints of new mysteries. In that wait, you sense the expanse stretching between worlds, every second a testament to patience and persistence. You lean back and let the rhythm of distant transmission lull your thoughts into a meditative calm. Voyager's cameras once captured pale, blue specks of Earth seen from the outer planets. On February 14th, 1990, they turned homeward for the pale blue dot portrait hour, world etched in rays of sunlight and framed by cosmic dust. You envision that photograph, a beacon of humility and perspective. In that image, countenance blur into soft curves and oceans shimmer like tears on the face of the void. You feel the profound realization that all we know lies within that fragile orb. Beyond the record and the pictures, the voyagers measure charged particles and magnetic fields, revealing the heliosheath's turbulence and the asymmetry of our sun's influence. You trace the path of electrons as they swirl along magnetic lines, singing in radio waves. You feel the magnetic bubbles shape-squashed on the side facing the sun and trailing behind like a teardrop. In these maps, you glimpse the dynamic frontier where solar breath meets galactic winds. As Voyager 2 crossed the heliopause in November 2018, it became the first human-made object to sample interstellar space directly, measuring plasma density, leaps and cosmic ray intensities that shine like spectral signatures. You imagine the flush of data arrivals, numbers dancing across screens, graphs climbing to new heights. In each spike, you sense the vastness beyond our sun, a realm shaped by distant supernova and star-forming regions, echoing with the history of the galaxy. The Voyager's mission will continue even as their transmitters fade. You imagine the final moments when power dwindles below threshold and instruments fall silent, the craft drifting on as silent sentinels. Yet long after the signals cease, Voyager will remain on its course, journeying for tens of thousands of years toward star systems that will not yet exist. In that cosmic voyage, you feel the resonance of something timelesser, silent promise that the human spirit endures through motion and memory. Earlier pioneers carried us outward as well. The Pioneer 10 and 11 spacecraft blazed trails through the asteroid belt and past Jupiter and Saturn, sending back the first close images of giant storms and ring edges. You recall the plaques mounted on their sides, silhouettes of a man and woman, diagrams of our sun and planets, coordinates meant to guide curious finders. In those plaques, you see a simpler, quieter hope, symbols stretching fingers across darkness. Even as you reflect on these heralds, you sense the broader chorus of robotic explorers. New horizons roared past Pluto and Arakoth, sending back revelations of heart-shaped plains and distant contact binaries. You recall icy mountains and textured surfaces, pebbled plains that defied expectations. You feel the thrill of surprise as instruments captured data from uncharted realms. In each return packet, you taste the exhilaration of venture. Beyond probes, telescopes peer into the starlight that carries hints of planets around distant suns. Kepler mapped thousands of exoplanets, Gaia charts, stellar motions, and JWST peers into the atmospheres of worlds we have never touched. These instruments extend our reach across light years, decoding signatures of water vapor, methane, and haze on planets orbiting their suns. You feel their gaze joining Voyager's, forming a tapestry of exploration that spans space and time. In the stillness, you contemplate the legacy these messengers carry. They embody curiosity, resilience, and the humility to beam our frail voices into the silence. Each instrument reading, each photograph, each greeting on the golden record speaks of our longing to understand and connect. You sense their spirit as a gentle glow that guides your thoughts, lighting the path beyond the boundaries you once thought impassable. And yet, Voyager's record is a snapshot of Earth frozen at one moment in time, the songs and languages of the planet in the 1970s, the knowledge and art we held dear then. You wonder who will find them and what stories they will read into our choices. Will our message echo as a cry for kinship or a cautionary tale of fragile blue worlds? In that question, you feel the weight of stewardship that our journey outward must reflect care of the home we leave behind. You stand at the threshold of the next chapter in exploration, crewed missions to Mars, telescopic eyes on lunar swirls, and probes piercing the clouds of Venus. Yet Voyager reminds you that the smallest flicker of power can cast a lantern across the night. You sense the interstellar medium awaiting your next signal, a dark ocean ready to receive your stories. As you prepare to return inward, the cosmic night ahead shimmers with silent galaxies, inviting you to reflect on every world you visited and every horizon still to discover. You drift beyond the sway of planets and the warm breath of our sun, carried on a quiet current of cosmic starlight. Around you, the darkness feels soft, like velvet spun from nothingness, and each point of light glimmers with ancient purpose. In this place, weight dissolves, and you float free, your senses opening to the gentle chorus of the universe. Every star you see has a story long begun, some still birthing new suns, others fading into silent embers, yet here they form a lullaby, a whispered song that cradles you into calm. Your mind drifts through the memories of worlds you have touched. First came the sun's whispering light, a warm embrace that seeped into your bones and wove golden patterns across your skin. Then Mercury's frostfire veil, where day and night met in a silent ballet of extremes, teaching you that fragility and resilience can coexist. Venus's shrouded radiance followed, its golden haze whispering of beauty hidden beneath oppressive heat. On Earth's living mosaic, oceans cradled life's first breath and forests murmured with ancient rhythms. You climbed mountain sentinels and wandered across grassy seas, feeling every grain of sand pulse with evolution's steady heartbeat. Mars then offered its scarlet whispers, dust storms swirling in silent spirals above rusted plains. You traced dried riverbeds toward silent volcanoes, listening to echoes of ancient waters carved into canyon walls. In the asteroid belt, you wove among rocky dancers, each fragment bearing scars of fiery collisions and glimmers of pristine ice. Jupiter's storm-forged heart revealed a colossal sphere of ochre and ivory, where lightning crackled behind gas clouds and the great red spot pulsed with ancient fury. Saturn's rings unfurled like frozen ribbons, shepherd moons guiding, silver dust in concentric arcs that shimmered like cosmic lace. Uranus slept on its side in a tilted dream of teal and green, methane clouds drifting in slanted currents, time itself pausing under the hush of its unique tilt. Neptune's indigo enigma greeted you with supersonic winds and hidden depths, ghostly, rings whispering in pale sunlight, auroras dancing in silent bursts of charged particles. Beyond Neptune, you entered the Kuiper belt among icy nomads Pluto's heart-shaped plains. Haumea's rapid spin makes red-stained surface. Eris's gleaming ice-each object, a fragment of the system's earliest dawn, orbiting with patient grace. In each realm you found lessons, that extremes form harmony, that hidden forces shape visible beauty, that every scar is a testament to endurance. You carried these lessons in your mind like precious gems, polishing them with reflection and letting their facets catch starlight in new ways. In the belt's outer reaches, you remembered Voyager's golden record, a fragile beacon cast into interstellar seas, greeting unknown listeners with songs of whales, laughter of children, and greetings in 55 tongues. You listened for its echo amid the hum of galactic particles, marveling at humanity's capacity to extend friendship across silent light years. Now, beyond the reach of planetary influence, you sense the gentle hum of the Milky Way's spiral arms turning over eons. Nebulae glow faintly in hidden wavelengths, nurseries where new stars will one day ignite, their light reaching across time to find your drifting form. You imagine clouds of hydrogen and dust coalescing in silent symmetry, gravity's soft pull, weaving raw matter into nascent suns. In each filament and cavity, you see the potential for worlds as diverse as those you have visited, perhaps with seas of emerald methane or skies of lavender storms, each promising its own lullaby. Between those clouds you perceive the unseen threads of dark matter, the invisible scaffold guiding galaxies in their graceful arcs. Though you cannot see it directly, you feel its presence in the ordered dance of stars and clusters that swirl above. This silent architecture shapes every cosmic structure, from the grandest galaxy to the smallest dust grain. In your mind's eye, you trace the web of filaments connecting luminous islands of light, sensing how unseen forces shape even the most radiant displays. In the hush, you sense black holes at the hearts of galaxies, points where gravity deepens into endless wells. You imagine one at the center of your own Milky Way, Sagittarius A*, its mass bending space so strongly that light itself curves into orbit. Though it devours matter in silent hunger, it also sculpts the motions of stars, guiding them in rhythmic orbits around a dense heart. You reflect on endings and beginnings, intertwined, that within every collapse lies the seed of transformation, and that every boundary can become a threshold to new understanding. As you continue to drift, cosmic race-charged particles born in stellar explosions brush past you, tiny messengers bearing tales of supernova and gamma-ray bursts. Each photon and proton carries an imprint of immense energies and distant violence. Yet in this moment their touch feels gentle, like a snowflake melting on your skin. Through these whispers you sense the cycle of death and rebirth writ large. Heavy elements forged in stellar cores spread by explosions, seeding interstellar clouds from which new worlds, and perhaps new life, will rise. Time here flows differently. Light years become lullaby lines in the poem of the cosmos. You gaze at stars whose light departed centuries, millennia, or millions of years ago, each point a history unfolding in slow motion. To look at a distant star is to witness a scene past, perhaps a supernova already ended, or a world sun still waiting to ignite. In this cosmic archive, you read chapters of creation and destruction, each photon a letter in an ancient script. Your thoughts turn to the future exoplanet worlds revealed by distant starlight dimming in repeated patterns. You envision planets, orbiting red dwarfs, tidal locked yet alive with alien life, gas giants larger than Jupiter, ringed with moons beneath storms in alien hues, Earth-like worlds with twin suns setting in pastel skies. Each discovery expands the circle of wonder, reminding you that the universe's creativity extends beyond even the wildest dreams of your own imagination. In your bones, you carry atoms forged in stellar furnaces, carbon in your cells, oxygen in your blood, iron in your heart. You feel gratitude for the cycles of nuclear fusion that forged the elements essential for life. Each breath you draw carries recycled starlight and stardust, linking you to the grand cycle of cosmic renewal. you sense that every molecule within you is a story of transformation. From the cores of ancient giants to the gentle warmth of your body, in the stillness, you imagine future explorers' children born on Mars under salmon skies, eyes turned toward Earth's distant glow. They will reach for telescopes and dream of returning messages carried on sunlight. You imagine vessels propelled by solar sails or fusion drives slipping into interstellar dark, carrying new records of Earth's art and song. In their ventures, humanity will continue the story of exploration, weaving new chapters in the ever-expanding tapestry of the cosmos. Yet for now, you rest in this serene void. You let the hush envelop you, drawing the universe's lullaby into your core. Every world you have visited whispers its story back to you. The sun's birthing fires, Mercury's forge and frost, Venus's hidden radiance, Earth's living mosaic, Mars's silent canyons, the asteroid belt's fragile links, Jupiter's storm-forged heart, Saturn's frozen timepieces, Uranus's tilted dream, Neptune's indigo hush, the Kuiper wanderer's patient arcs, Pluto's twilight plains, and the Voyager's quiet ambassadors. Each voice blends into a harmonious chorus, a gentle murmur of continuity. You sense the cosmic night reclining around you, a vast cradle of space and mystery. In its embrace, you feel both infinitesimal and infinite echo of the stars and a keeper of their light. Your heartbeat matches the slow rhythm of galactic rotation, your breath aligned with fusion and decay, your mind open to the next horizon. In this final reflection, you realize that the journey outward is also a journey inward. Through every world you meet, you discover facets of your own being, facets shaped by curiosity, resilience, and wonder. Now, in this final heartbeat of meditation, you let the cosmos settle within. The universe's lullaby becomes your own breath, and you drift toward dreams of worlds yet to come, cradled in the silent harmony of space and gentle wonder. In this boundless hush, you carry each star's whisper into your sleep, ready to dream of new horizons waiting beyond the edge of night.